Employees who council members want to call out for special attention. So let me first recognize Councilmember Zine.
Thank you and good morning. I'm not being arrested. In case you wonder why they're surrounding me. Hutch, come over and help me. It's a pleasure to be with our General Services officers this morning. And an incident occurred here at City Hall in our complex, and it was brought to my attention, and I wanted to let the folks at City Hall know and the community know the dedicated General Services representation we have and the enforcement they do. While they keep us safe and secure in City Hall, there's the entire City Hall complex, and they do patrols in the City Hall complex. And this event occurred on March 20th
el 20 de mayo, aproximadamente a las 11:45 de la tarde.
General Services Division police
División de
officers
Servicios
Carlos
Generales,
Lopez
oficiales
and
Carlos
Juan
López
Alba
y Juan
were on foot
Alba
patrol.
patrullaban
López
el
and Alba.
edificio a pie.
Come on up so everybody can see
Mr.
you.
Alba, pase para que todos
know,
lo
they're on
puedan
foot
ver.
patrol,
Ellos patrullaban
walking
el edificio
southbound
a
the
pie,
pedestrian
caminando
footbridge.
hacia el sur.
During this
el
day,
del
all Security Division
puente de
personnel were assigned
peatones.
12-hour shifts,
Ese
which is
día
the
todo el
period of heightened
personal estaba
alert,
asignado
and they encountered
a
several
patrullar
anti-war
por 12 horas.
protesters in the Civic Center
Se encontraron
complex.
con varios protestantes en
Officers
contra de la
Lopez and
guerra. El
Alba
oficial
saw two
López y Alba
females,
miraron a dos mujeres
and these two
y
individuals
estas dos mujeres
were spray painting anti-war
estaban
slogans on
pintando
Civic Center buildings. While being observed,
letreros
one suspect placed a
antiguerra en los
cardboard
edificios.
template
Uno
against the
puso
wall
un
on the corner of
cartón en
Los Angeles
contra
and
de la
Temple
pared en la
Streets,
esquina de Los
and the
Ángeles
other
y Tempo.
suspect
El otro,
pointed a
la
can of spray
sospechosa
paint at the template. Officer Lopez
empezó
ordered them
a
to
usar
stop,
un
and they fled
bote
northbound on
de
Los Angeles
spray.
Street.
Empezaron ellos a correr norte,
Sergeant
hacia el norte de
Bomer,
la calle Los Ángeles.
An officer,
Sargento Bomer, el
Severo,
oficial Severo,
Sergeant Bomer,
Sargento Bomer,
responded to assist locating the
respondieron para
suspects
ayudar
in
y
the
estoy
Alvera Street
encontrando a los
Plaza.
sospechosos en la
Upon
plaza de
detaining the
Alvera Street. Al
suspects,
detener a los sospechosos,
Sergeant Bomer
el
and his
sargento
partner officer
Bomer y
discovered
su
2 cans of spray paint,
compañero
gloves
encontraron
with fresh
dos
red paint stains, and a cardboard template with inscription, and I'm not going to say the word,
botes
but it's
de
that 4-letter
spray,
word that we hear that
y
offends
también con
people,
guantes
war.
con
Sergeant Susan Abeso,
color rojo y
Don't hide back there.
encontraron papeles también con la
responded and
palabra
conducted a search of the female
de
suspects.
4 letras que ofenden a las
Security Sergeant
personas.
Becerra
El
located
sargento
additional graffiti from the
Becerra
suspects
encontró
with
también
the
grafiti
same
diciendo a los
words
sospechosos con las mismas
sprayed in red
palabras
paint under the pedestrian
escritas con
footbridge at Temple on
spray
Los Angeles Street
roja
and in front of the main City Hall.
enfrente del ayuntamiento y
Officers
del
Alba and
otro
Lopez booked
edificio.
both
Los
suspects in the
oficiales
jail for
ficharon
vandalism.
a los
And it's my
sospechosos
pleasure
por
today
vandalismo y es mi placer
to
el día de hoy
give the personnel who were
darle al
involved in
personal que
this
se
arrest and
involucrados en
capture
este
certificates
arresto
of appreciation
certificados de apreciación
in what they did that
por lo que
evening.
hicieron esa noche.
And it reads, in recognition of
Dice,
outstanding
como
citizenship and
reconocimiento
activities
de gran
enhancing community
ciudadanía y
betterment,
actividades para mejorar
hereby
la
awarded the
comunidad, aquí
certificate
se
of
le entrega el
appreciation
certificado de
for
apreciación
exemplary efforts and
por esfuerzos
accomplishments which have been
ejemplares
of
y
great
logros
value to the
que
community and the city of
gran
Los
valor a la comunidad de la
Angeles,
ciudad de Los
and which have
Ángeles,
helped to further
que
the
han
common goal of
ayudado
making
a
our city a better
mejorar
place in which to live. And I have a certificate of
meta
appreciation
común de
for each of
mejorar
the
la ciudad de Los
representatives here
Ángeles.
from our
Tenemos
General
certificado de apreciación
Services
para cada uno de los
security
representantes de
operation.
servicios de
And it's
generalización,
interesting that we have a $1,000 reward
seguridad y tenemos
for people
$1,000, una recompensa de
who
$1,000 para personas
apprehend
que arrestan
individuals who are
a
graffitiing our
individuos que
city.
están escribiendo
And if we look at
graffiti en la
these
ciudad,
fine
si miramos
dedicated
a estas
personnel, you're not going to get
personas,
the $1,000, by the way,
muchas de
because
son
you're acting the
ciudadanos,
course
pero
and scope
los
of your
que están
employment.
dentro.
But you do deserve the
Son
accolades, you
trabajo,
deserve the
pero sí merecen
recognition.
el
And
reconocimiento
it would be offensive
y
for people,
sería
and we have many
ofensivo
people who
para
visit the
muchas
City Hall
personas que
complex,
visitan a
for them to
este
see those
complejo de la
words
ciudad del ayuntamiento,
inscribed on the
ver esas
walls
palabras
around City
escritas en
Hall.
las paredes
So
alrededor de la
I
ciudad.
thank
Por lo
you,
tanto, le doy las gracias.
and we're going to
Y
present each of you
presentaremos
with
a
a
cada uno de
certificate
ustedes
of
con un certificado de
appreciation,
apreciación.
and keep up the good work,
Y
and I know
adelante
that
con el gran
you do
trabajo
this
que así sé
diligently
que hacen
every day.
esto con diligencia
And
día
also
tras día.
to
Y
say a few
también
words as your
yo
chief of
quería unas
police,
pocas
and
palabras como su
if the
jefe de
chief will please
policía,
come
si
forward.
se pase, por favor.
Thank you very much,
Muchas
Council
gracias,
Member, and thank you for
concejal.
your
Muchas gracias
support.
por su
The
apoyo.
actions
Las
that we're
acciones
discussing
que
today are just one example of the
solamente son un
fine work
ejemplo del
that
gran
the men and
trabajo
women
que
of the Security
los
Services
hombres y
Division
mujeres de esta división de servicios de seguridad hacen y
do every
desempeñan
day. We're
día tras día.
post 9/11,
Después
the
del
demand
11 de
upon our
septiembre,
security services
las
in
necesidades sobre
protecting our
nuestros servicios de
visitors,
seguridad
city
para proteger
employees,
a
and
los
elected
visitantes,
officials in city
empleados y
buildings
oficiales
around the city has
elegidos
dramatically
en
increased.
ayuntamientos en
And with the
toda la
support of the city
ciudad
council, we've been able to
ha aumentado y con el apoyo del
dramatically
Consejo
increase
Municipal
the
hemos
level
podido aumentar
of
el
safety
nivel de
within our city
seguridad dentro de
facilities
nuestros lugares
to a level that
municipales a un nivel
surpasses most
es más
municipalities
allá de otras
throughout the
municipalidades
nation.
en toda
And
la
I'm
nación.
proud to say that
Y
we've
estoy
had
orgulloso de decirles
virtually
que hemos tenido
no
casi
incidents
ni
of violent
un
crime
incidente
within
de
our
crimen
facilities
violento dentro de
since
nuestros
9/11.
lugares desde
And
el
I'd just like
9/11
to
y
once
solamente
again
quiero
thank
de
the
nuevo
men and
darles
women
gracias a los
of the
hombres y a las
division
mujeres de
and
esta
the
división
council for
y
their
al
support.
Consejo por
Thank
su
you.
apoyo. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
And I know you're not used to foot chases, but
Yo
in
sé
this
que no están
particular case, it
acostumbrados a
worked out
correr
well.
a pie, pero en este lugar en
Okay, we
particular
thank you all very much.
funcionó muy bien. Gracias a todos ustedes. Iremos atrás para tomar fotografías.
Thank you, Mr.
Muchas
Zine.
gracias, señor
You have
Zine.
another
¿Tiene
presentation?
otra presentación, señor?
All right.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Alversa? We like to recognize our city employees, and as the chair of the
Queremos
Personnel Committee,
reconocer a
I made it
todos
a
los empleados de
practice when
personal.
a city employee with
Y es
30
mi
or more years
costumbre
retires,
cuando
we want to
un
bring them before
trabajo de la
council
ciudad se
to
jubila después de
recognize
30 años, nos gusta
and bring
invitarles
their
al consejo para
accomplishments
reconocerles
to
y
the people of the city of Los Angeles,
mencionar
and I'm
sus
proud to be
logros
joined. Is your husband with you?
para la ciudad de Los Ángeles.
Come on up
¿Se
here.
encuentra su esposo con usted? Sí, pase, por favor.
For 32 years of service with the city of Los Angeles, you deserve to
años
have
de
him by your
servicio,
side.
por los 3 años de servicio al parecer de Los
Would
Ángeles
we,
merece que él esté
have
a la par
Alversa
suyo.
Tippins
Tenemos a Versa Tippins,
Retired June 27, 2003, with over 32 years of service.
2003, con más de
Began her service
22
working
años de
at the Los
servicio.
Angeles
Empezó
Police
trabajando
Department
en el
Management
Departamento de Los
Division
Ángeles,
as a
División
clerk
de
typist.
Administración,
In
como
1975,
secretaria,
promoted to senior clerk
1975,
typist with the Department of Building and Safety.
subió a
1981,
Departamento de
transferred
Protección y
to the
Seguridad en el
Mechanical
91,
Bureau,
trasladó
where she was
al
supervisor
Departamento de
over a group
Mecánica,
of clerks.
supervisó varios
1997,
otros
transferred
secretarios
to
en el
the
97,
Financial
trasladó
Services Accounting and Billing Section.
a la parte de
Then transferred to the
Contabilidad,
Resource
después
Management
pasó
Bureau,
a
Administrative Service
División
Division,
de
General
Recursos,
Analysis and Budget Section,
a la sección de análisis
where
y
she
presupuesto,
performed the
donde
administrative
ella
support clerical position for the
desempeñó
Management
trabajo
Analyst
como
Group
secretaria
in charge of the
del grupo
budget
de
for the
analistas encargado del
department. On her spare
presupuesto para
time,
el departamento en su
you can
tiempo
attest to
libre.
this. She loves to cook,
Le encanta cocinar,
decorate, and sew.
decorar su casa, etc.
Alversa's can-do attitude has guided her career and is a true asset to the city of Los Angeles. It was a
Es un
great
gran valor de
pleasure
la ciudad de Los
that
Ángeles, un gran
introduced the
placer
certificate of
presentar el
retirement
certificado de-
and wish
por su
her and her
jubilación y
family
deseo a
the
ella y a su
best in
familia
future endeavors
lo mejor en
and a
su
healthy
futuro
retirement.
y una
For 32
saludable
years of
jubilación por
service
tantos años de
with the
servicio
city of Los
con la
Angeles.
ciudad de Los Ángeles.
Congratulations to you.
Felicitaciones.
I see you have
Y
some of your
yo
colleagues
sé que
here.
ciertos de sus colegas están aquí con usted.
And you probably never had the opportunity to speak before the council
Ante el
before,
Consejo Municipal,
but here's your
pero esta es su
opportunity. Here you
oportunidad
go.
aquí. Pase.
Well, it's really been a good experience.
Sí, una
to serve
gran
the
experiencia
citizens of the
dar
people of Los
servicio a
Angeles
los
for 32
ciudadanos de la
years,
ciudad de Los Ángeles por
and,
32
it's
años
time for me to
y
retire
es
now,
momento
but I can say
para
that I've
jubilarme,
really
pero
enjoyed
quiero
my
decir que
service. Thank
disfruté
you all so much
este trabajo.
for your
Gracias a todos
support.
ustedes
And thank
muchísimo
you,
por su apoyo. Gracias, concejal Sae.
You're very welcome. You're very
Por
welcome.
nada,
David?
por nada.
Hi, my name's Dave
Mi
Lara
nombre es
with the
Dave Lara,
representing Andrew Adelman
representando a
today.
Andrew
Unfortunately,
Adelman el
Andrew
día de hoy.
couldn't be
Andrew
here
no pudo
today.
estar con nosotros, el Departamento de Construcción y de Seguridad.
We just wanted
Solo
to
queremos
just say how fortunate we've been to have Alversa working for us these past 32 years. She's been definitely an asset to our department, to the city. We wish her all the best, and we wish her the best in all her future endeavors. So good
su
luck.
futuro. Muy, muy buena suerte.
And I notice you've got one of
Sé que
those
usted tiene
special city pins,
esas medallitas especiales de
You
la
got 3
ciudad.
diamonds.
Tiene 3 diamantes.
30
Por
years.
30
Well,
años.
I received one
Yo
August
recibí
1st,
uno
so
1 de
it's a
agosto,
real
por lo
honor
tanto es un
to be
gran
with
honor
someone who has
estar
those 3
al
diamonds.
par
Between the two
con
of us, we
alguien.
got 6 diamonds. We
Con
could
los
help
3
pay off
diamantes entre
the debt
nosotros
of the
tenemos
state of
6
California with those diamonds.
diamantes, así podemos
Thank you,
utilizar
Madam.
para
Thank you,
pagar
Madam
la
Chair.
deuda de
Thank you, Mr.
California.
Zine.
Muchas
Let me
gracias.
recognize
Gracias, señor
now, at this
Zine.
time, for a very special
reconocer
presentation, Councilmember Padilla.
Concejal Padilla, para una presentación muy, muy especial.
Good morning.
Buenos
Thank you, Madam
días,
Chair,
muchas
members
gracias,
of the
señor
council,
presidente,
members
miembros
of
del
the
Consejo,
public.
miembros del público.
It's indeed a pleasure
Es
and
un
honor
gran placer, es un
for me
gran
to
honor
conduct
poder
this
llevar a
brief but
cabo
very
este breve pero muy, muy
special, recognition
especial
this morning.
reconocimiento
I
esta
think
mañana.
over,
Creo yo
the
que
last couple of
en los
months we've
últimos
had,
varios meses hemos
some,
tenido
wonderful residents from the city of Los
recientes
Angeles who have seen
admirables
more
de la
than
ciudad de
most
Los
of us
Ángeles.
of the city's growth, of the city's
Ellos han
history, of the city's
visto el
change over
crecimiento,
the
el
years.
cambio
And
de la
today,
ciudad a través de los
I bring
años.
to
El día de
council
hoy
for
les
all of us to
presento
welcome
aquí para que me
Verbia
acompañen a la
Stem,
bienvenida
who
a
on June
Verbia
15th
STEM,
of
quien
this
el
year
15 de junio del año
celebrated
actual
her
celebró
102nd birthday.
102 años.
Wow. I'm proud to say she's
Es
from my
un,
district, having lived
es
in
un gran
Mission
orgullo
Hills for
decir
quite a
que
number
ella
of
es parte
years,
de mi distrito,
but
ya que
is
vivió en Mission Hills por
originally from
originalmente.
Oklahoma.
Ella
And I
es
want to
de
read a list of
Oklahoma y quiero leer la
places she and her
lista de
family
lugares
had
donde
lived
ella
in
y su
before
vida han vivido
arriving in Mission Hills.
antes de llegar a Mission Hills.
Originally from Oklahoma,
Originalmente de
they lived in
Oklahoma y vivieron en Omaha, Nebraska,
Custer City, Oklahoma,
Custer City, Oklahoma,
Loveland, Oklahoma,
Ludlow,
Burley,
Oklahoma,
Idaho,
Billy,
Arkansas, St.
Idaho,
Louis,
Arkansas,
Missouri,
St. Louis,
Seattle,
Missouri,
Washington, and
Seattle, Washington y finalmente
arriving in Los
llegando a
Angeles in the
Los
year
Ángeles en el año 1919.
having worked for many years for
Trabajaron
Lockheed,
muchísimos
especially
años para
throughout that
Lockheed,
World War II
especialmente
period,
durante
an
el periodo
essential
de
part of
la Segunda
Los
Guerra
Angeles
Mundial,
history,
una
Southern
parte
California
esencial de la
history.
historia de Los Ángeles, del sur de
She
California.
also served
también
for a period as a Los Angeles Deputy Sheriff Reserve Officer. Can you imagine that? This woman with a badge and a gun. We have a couple of reserve officers on the council.
Oficial reserva
And I think a testament
como
to her not only physical
alguacil.
health, but
¿Se imagina
her
esta dama con una
psychological
pistola
and
y una
spiritual
medalla?
well-being and
Nos
strength
da
is
mucho
the fact
gusto
that she
su
enjoys taking
fuerza,
that walk
su
every day, a block to her
fuerza
daughter's house,
psicológica. A ella le encanta caminar
to use her treadmill and
a
continue
la casa
to
de
keep
su
herself in
hija,
shape
usa la máquina para
and
hacer
enjoy life to its
ejercicio
fullest.
y
As
disfruta la
part
vida
of enjoying
totalmente.
life,
Parte de
she's
disfrutar
married
su
and
vida y
had 3
está
children,
casada. Tuvo 3
Audrey,
hijos,
Marjorie,
Audrey,
and William,
Marjorie y
7
William,
grandchildren,
7
7
nietos, 7
great-grandchildren, and
bisnietos
3
y 3
great-great-grandchildren.
bisnietos.
Indeed, a
Por
very
hecho, es
full life
una
and a
vida
fulfilling life
completa y
as
una
well.
vida
A wonderful example
muy,
and model for all of us,
linda. Es
someone
un
to look
ejemplo
up
para
to,
todos nosotros,
and
alguien
someone to learn the secrets of a
quien
long, happy life from. And maybe I
inspirar y
can convince
alguien
her to share a few of those secrets with us.
que puede compartir
Congratulations.
secretos con nosotros. Quizá pueda comenzar a que comparte secretos con nosotros. Unas cuantas palabras.
Thanks a lot
Muchas gracias
from everybody.
a todos.
Mr. Laban, she
Señor
said the
Labange
secret to
dijo
a
que
long
el
life are
secreto a una
short
vida larga
speeches.
son presentaciones muy, muy breves.
And please accept this,
Horas.
and this resolution on
Esta
behalf of the
resolución
city.
de parte de la
Congratulations.
ciudad. Felicitaciones.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla.
Muchas gracias, señor
Madam
Padilla.
Clerk, well, before we do the next presentation, could you please call the roll?
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Labange,
Mr.
Ludlow,
Garcetti,
Mr.
Gruel,
Parks, Perry,
Labange,
Reyes,
Parks,
Smith,
Perry, Reyes,
Villaraigosa, Weiss, Stein,
Smith,
Padilla,
Villaraigosa,
11
Stein,
members
Padilla.
present and a quorum,
11
Madam
miembros
President.
presentes, un quórum
quorum
completo,
is,
señor presidente. El quórum
present.
ahora está
And
completo.
for our
Y
next
para la
presentation,
siguiente
let me call on
presentación, me gustaría
Councilmember
llamar
Perry.
a la concejala Perry para una presentación.
And as Ms. Perry is coming to the
Mientras la
microphone,
señora
let
Perry
me
se acerca,
recognize
quiero reconocer
Councilmember
al
Labange for an
concejal Labange para
introduction.
una presentación. Muchas gracias. De parte del concejal Ludlow tenemos la Fundación de Derechos Constitucionales aquí con nosotros el día de hoy. Todos para la Fundación de Derechos de la Constitución, pónganse de pie y reciban un reconocimiento. Muchísimas gracias. Uno de los estudiantes es de la preparatoria Bell. Alza la mano. El nombre de este consejo municipal es el Sala de Ayuntamiento John Ferrari. Él también fue a la preparatoria Bell. Bienvenidos a todos los miembros de la Fundación de Derechos Constitucionales. Gracias por su presencia. Ahora vamos a reconocer al concejal Perry, a la concejala Perry.
Thanks very much, Madam
Muchas gracias,
President.
señora
I'm standing here with a very,
Señora
very
Presidenta,
special
estoy
group of
aquí
folks
con un
today.
grupo de personas muy, muy
With
especiales
me
el día de
is
hoy.
Bill
Conmigo
Martinez,
es
the
Bill
professor
Martínez,
of
el
a class
profesor de una
sponsored
clase
by the Pat
patrocinada
Brown
por el
Institute
Instituto
at Cal
Pat
State
Brown en
Los
Cal State,
Angeles.
Los Ángeles.
This
Esta
class
clase
teaches specific
enseña
skills needed
aptitudes
to
especiales que
effectively
necesitan para
intervene and
efectivamente
prevent young people
prevenir
from
a jóvenes
participating
de
in gang
participar en
activity.
actividades
The men and women
actividades
standing
de
here
la
today are part of the
ciudad. Los jóvenes que están para
2003
conmigo son partes
graduating
de la
class,
clase
which
de
is the seventh
graduada
class
2003,
of
la
its
cual es la
kind.
séptima
They are
clase
a
como es
diverse group
extragraduados.
of
Es un
people
grupo
ranging from
diverso de
city
personas, desde
employees,
trabajadores
like
de
my
la
friend here
ciudad,
on
como
the
mi amiga
left,
aquí,
field deputy from the 9th Council District, Phyllis May.
trabajadora de mi oficina, Phyllis
You can
May.
say something later.
Después
All
puede hablar.
And people from Unity 2
Personas
and
de
other
Unity 2
community-based
y
gang
otros
intervention groups.
grupos de
This
intervención contra
class
las
is one of the
pandillas.
many
Esta clase
ways
es
that we
una de
can
las
continue to
muchas maneras
help
que podemos
people
continuar ayudando a las
reclaim their lives
personas,
and leave behind a
reclamar su vida y
life of
dejar
violence.
atrás la vida de
And I gotta
violencia.
say that the
Quiero
folks
decirles que
behind
las
us,
personas
these are the
tras
real
de mí, esos son
heroes
los
in the
héroes
struggle
reales en la
for gang
lucha
intervention because they
y su
understand life from both
intervención.
sides. And I want to
Vida de
thank
ambas
them for
partes.
dedicating their
Gracias por dedicar
time
su
and
vida
their attention
y su
and their
atención
commitment
y
to this
su
extremely
compromiso
important
a esta
class,
sumamente
and
importante
know
clase
that
tan
they're
importante
already
y
community leaders and with
sepan
these
que
new
ya son líderes
skills
de la
will
comunidad
make
con estas nuevas
an incredible
aptitudes
difference in our
hará
communities.
una gran
And
diferencia en
thank you
nuestras
to the
comunidades y
Pat
muchas
Brown
gracias al
Institute
Instituto
and
de
to Cal State
Pat
Los
Brown
Angeles
y a la Universidad de Cal
for
State Los Ángeles
creating
por
this
crear
relevant opportunity
este
to benefit the
importante
people of
oportunidad
our
para
city.
beneficiar a las
And I'd
personas
like
de
to ask
nuestra ciudad.
Bill
Me gustaría
Martinez to
pedirle a
come
Bill
up and say
Martínez
a
que
few
pase por
words,
favor y
and
diga
then
unas
I'm going to
cuantas
read
para
the
después
names
voy a
off
leer
of the
los nombres de los
graduates.
graduados.
Thank you.
Muchas gracias.
On behalf
De
of
parte
Cal State LA and the Pat
de
Brown
la Universidad de
Institute, I
Cal
want to
State LA y el
thank
Instituto de
Councilmember
Pat Brown,
Perry
quiero
for
dar las gracias a la
inviting us down
concejala
here
Perry
and the
por
rest of the
invitarnos
council
aquí
for
y al resto del
their
Consejo Municipal
ongoing
también.
support of
Gracias
the
por su
program.
apoyo
And
continuo
on
de este
behalf of the
programa y de
workers
parte de los
here and those that
trabajadores
have gone
aquí,
before
los
us,
que
just
se han
to say
graduado
that we
previamente. Quiero
continue
decirles
to
que
honor our
continuamos
pledge to the city to provide
honrando nuestro compromiso
better and
a la
safer
ciudad para
streets
proveer calles
and,
mejores y
living
más
conditions
seguras y
within the city of
condiciones
Los
también
Angeles.
para
Thank you.
vivir en la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. And before I
Muchas
just
gracias. Antes
acknowledge
de
everyone here, I
reconocer a
wanted to
todos,
ask
quiero
Phyllis.
pedirle a
Phyllis is a field
Phyllis
deputy and has
trabaja
been
para
with
mi
me since the
oficina
very
en la
beginning,
comunidad,
and
está conmigo desde el
she's a
principio y
resident
ella
of
es
the 9th
residente
and
del
has
nuevo
really
Distrito 9.
made such
Ya ha
amazing
hecho
professional
un
progress
gran
coming
progreso
out of
profesional.
street use, and
Ella
her
que se ha
story,
involucrado en
now that I
jóvenes
know the folks here,
en las
is not
calles. La
unusual,
historia de ella no
and I
es
just want to ask her to
inusual,
say a
por
few
lo que
words
quiero
on behalf of
pedirle
the
que diga
group.
unas cuantas palabras de parte del grupo.
It's an honor and a privilege.
Es un gran honor y un gran privilegio.
I really want to thank you,
Quiero dar las
Councilwoman,
gracias
for
a
giving me the
usted,
opportunity
concejala, y por darme la oportunidad, de Bill, el profesor, por darnos una oportunidad de participar en esta clase, porque el Distrito 9 necesita más de nosotros ser incluidos para ser líderes, para cumplir la ley e informarles a los que cumplen la ley para decir lo que tienen que hacer para la violencia. Gracias, Bill, es muy buen trabajo.
Okay. And I just want to say
También quiero dar las
congratulations
felicitaciones
to these
a
individuals
estos
and their
individuos y
families,
sus
Marcus Bell,
familias,
George
Marcus Bell,
Beltran,
George
Robert
Beltran,
Bogan,
Robert
Nathaniel Brown,
Belgan,
Teresa
Nathaniel Brown,
Clemente,
Teresa
Magdalena
Clemente,
Godoy,
Magdalena
Michael
Godoy,
Godoy,
Lorena
Lorena
Guardiana,
David Guerrero,
David
Alfie
Guerrero,
Jones, Terrell
Alfie Jones,
Keys,
Terrell
Amy
Keys,
Linsenmeyer,
Amy
Sean Meyer,
Sean
Phyllis
Meyer,
May, Carlos
Phyllis May,
Rodriguez,
Carlos
George
Rodriguez,
Smallwood,
George
Calvin
Miller,
Taylor,
Calvin
Gregory
Taylor,
Thomas,
Gregory
Jimmy
Thomas, Jimmy
Jimmy
Valenzuela,
Gutierrez,
José
Henry
Gutiérrez,
Salazar,
Henry
Barbara
Salazar,
Galvez,
Barbara Galvez,
Patricia Ortega, and
Patricia Ortega y
Shante
Shante
And I wanted to
Garbut. Y
say
quiero
their names so
decir
that their
los nombres para
families
que
and
sus
friends
familias y sus
and people who are
amistades y
watching
personas
this
que
in
nos
the
están
community
viendo
know
por
that
televisión en la comunidad
we
sepan que
have given them
nosotros
this
les hemos dado a ellos
recognition
este
today because
reconocimiento
they
de
are
hoy porque
special.
ellos son
Thank you so
personas
much.
muy especiales. Muchas gracias.
Okay, and then we'll go on in the back.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. For our next presentation, let me recognize Councilmember Smith.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is truly
Concejal Smith.
unique when
Muchas
city
gracias, señor
employees
presidente. Es
are
muy
recognized here for
especial
duties and
cuando empleados
activities
de la ciudad
outside
están aquí
the
por sus
council family and outside of
trabajos
city employment.
desempeñados
But I
fuera del
have
Consejo
somebody I'm very
Municipal.
proud of
Tengo a
that
alguien
accomplished
del cual
great
estoy muy
things
orgulloso. Él
prior to
logró
becoming my chief of staff. But
grandes
and I know
logros
we'll
antes
do
de
those
ser
great
jefe de
things
mi
as my
personal, y
chief
yo
of
sé
staff
que
as
él
well.
hará esos grandes
Just
cosas
2
también
days
como
ago,
jefe de mi
my chief of staff, Mitchell
personal.
Englander,
Hace
was
poco
chosen
tiempo,
as one of the
mi jefe de
40
personal
movers
fue
and shakers under 40 years old in the city of Los
escogido
Angeles.
como una de las
Out
personas
of
más
1,000
involucradas
names that were submitted
en
for
Los
this
Ángeles. Más
award,
de 1000
only 40 were
nombres
chosen. And
fueron
I'm so
presentados
honored
por
to
este
have Mitch on my
premio, 40
staff.
fueron
I'm sorry all those accomplishments
escogidos.
were before
Es un
6 weeks
gran
ago when
honor,
he
es un
became my chief of
gran
staff,
honor
but I know in the
tenerlo
coming
como
years
parte de
he'll
mi
continue that high-level
departamento.
service to the
Yo
citizens
sé
of
que
Los
obtendrá
Angeles
ese gran
and
servicio
continue to be a
de
mover and
servicio.
shaker in his
Por eso
role as my
aquí
chief of staff. And I
continuará
just want to
siendo
recognize
una
Mitch real
persona muy
quick
activa
for
como
this
mi
incredible accomplishment to be one of the 40
Mitch
people
es un
under
gran
40
logro
years
ser
old
una de
chosen
las
as a
40
mover and shaker in the
personas
city of
menores
Los
de
Angeles. Mitch,
40 años ser una de
congratulations.
estas personas de recibir este premio. Gracias, es una gran sorpresa.
Mr. Zine.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Gracias,
I
señor
can't pass up the
presidente. No
opportunity
puedo pasar la
to
oportunidad
comment
de hacer
on
un
the pleasure it is
comentario
working
del
with you
placer, sobre el placer
as
que
the
ha
chief
sido
of
trabajar con
staff, and
usted.
I've known you for a number of years. I know your
Personal, lo
accomplishments
conozco usted por varios
and
años,
the
conozco
energy, the
sus logros, la
enthusiasm you
energía, el
have, and
entusiasmo
how
que
you
usted
work
tiene,
with
la manera que usted
my colleague
trabaja
Greg
con mi
Smith, and
colega,
how you
con
work
Greg
the
Smith, y
campaign, and
cómo
how you
trabaja
as the
usted
chief of staff
la
doing a
campaña
tremendous
como
job, and it's a
usted, como
pleasure
jefe
working
de
with you.
personal. Es
It's
una
no
gran
surprise
placer
that you
trabajar con usted, no
received that
es sorpresa
acknowledgement
que usted
because
recibió
of
este
the
reconocimiento
diligence
por
and
la
the work ethics
diligencia
that
y
you
la
have.
ética de trabajo que usted
Congratulations
tiene.
to you.
Felicitaciones.
Mr. Labange.
A mover and shaker, and then from the
Muy
12th district,
activo
so
del
was it
Distrito
the
12, que fue
Earthquake Society
la
of
Sociedad de
Southern
Temblores del
California
Sur
to
de
give you that mover
California
and
que le dio
shaker?
este premio.
Congratulations,
Felicitaciones, Mitch.
The LA Business Journal gave you that there, and that surely shows that. But spread your wings and help others. Thank you.
Es un gran placer.
Well, thank you. I didn't know that
Muchas gracias. No
the
sabía
councilman
yo
would
que
be doing this
el
this morning,
concejal iba a
so
hacer
thanks for
esto esta
surprising me yet
mañana.
again.
Gracias por
I
sorprenderme de
wouldn't-
nuevo.
yeah, no, thank you.
Hubiera
But I would like to say now
usado
that in this,
otra camisa
in
más
this new
bonita,
role,
pero
I
en
plan on
esta
doing a
nueva
lot more moving
posición
than shaking and not
tengo
shaking things up
planeado
in the city of Los Angeles.
ser
But
mucho
thank
más
you for this great honor. I
activo.
really, really appreciate it.
Gracias por este gran honor, lo aprecio sinceramente.
Congratulations, Mitch.
Felicitaciones, Mitch.
Today, I'm really honored to be
Hoy
able
es
to
un
present
gran
this, and I
honor
wish
poder
Mr. Ludlow was here
presentarles
because of the
esto, y
strong
quisiera que el señor Ludlow
Korean
estuviera aquí
population
por la
that's in
gran
his district as well.
población coreana
But
que
today
existe en
is
su
Korean
distrito, pero hoy es
Liberation Day,
el Día de
the mark
Liberación
of
de
the
los
end of the
coreanos, el
Japanese
fin de
occupation of Korea at the end of World War II.
ocupación
And
de
I'm
Corea
honored
al
to
fin
have a
de
real
la Guerra Mundial
pillar
número
of the
12.
Korean community
Es
here
un
with us
honor
today
tener aquí un
that happens
representante,
to
un
also
gran
be a resident of the
pilar de
12th
la comunidad
District in
coreana,
Northridge.
presidente del Distrito 12
Susan
en Northridge,
Cuddy,
Susan Ann Cuddy,
was born in Los
nació
Angeles
en
in
Los Ángeles en
1918, and she
1980
actually lived just a couple blocks from City Hall for
y
most of
vivió
her
unas
life until
cuantas
moving to the San Fernando Valley. She's the daughter of the
cuadras
famous
lejos de
Korean
la de
independence
mudarse
fighter
a Villa,
Dosan
es hija
An Chung-ho,
del señor Chung
who
Ho,
recently had the
lucharon en la
interchange of the
independencia.
10
Hace
and the
poco tuvo un
110 freeway
intercambio
named after
del
him.
10,
But
la
she's a
autopista
real
10 y 110
pioneer on her own.
nombrado
She served in the United States Navy
en su
during World
nombre.
War II.
Ella dio
She's the
servicio
first
en la
female gunnery sergeant
servicio
ever in the United
la-
States
de la-
Navy. She later
Ejército
was a
Naval.
naval intelligence officer.
como oficial de
She
inteligencia y
joined the
otros
National
puestos. Ella
Security Agency in
acompañó la
Washington,
seguridad
D.C. She's the mother of 2
nacional de
and 2
inteligencia en
grandchildren.
Washington, la madre de dos,
She
tiene dos
received many prestigious awards from the
nietos y
Korean government.
muchísimos
She was
premios
named Woman of the Year
reconocidos
by our
del
former
gobierno
colleague and now
coreano.
Assemblyman Mark
Él
Ridley
fue
Thomas.
llamada Mujer del
She's
Año
a subject
por
of a
el premio
recent biography book named
representante
Willow
Ridley
Tree
Thomas. Ella
Shade,
también
The
ha hecho
Susan
una
Ann Cuddy
biografía,
Story.
la historia de Susan Cuddy.
She's a dedicated family historical documents, letters, and artifacts to help the
Muchísimas
Korean
cartas
American Museum in Los Angeles.
y
She's
otros
donated her
documentos
family
históricos
photographs to
de
the Cultural
sus
Library
fotografías
for their Shadows
la
of
familia
LA
para
Archives. And I'm sure Mr.
la Biblioteca
Shades of LA
Cultural.
Archive, which Mr. Labange is obviously very
Sé que el
familiar
señor
with.
Labange está muy familiarizado con
Susan Ann
estos
Cuddy is a
archivos.
true
Susan
leader in
Cuddy
the
es
Korean
una
community,
líder
and
verdadero
it's
en
very
la
appropriate that
comunidad
we
de
recognize
Corea.
her today.
Es muy adecuado
And
reconocerla
unlike
el día
the
de hoy
lady
y
who was just here a moment ago,
como
she's
decía que
a
está pensaba que ella apenas solamente tiene 89 años, es una jovencita aún, pero está haciendo cosas enormes en nuestra comunidad, es una gran líder en la comunidad coreana y es un gran honor tenerla aquí
contributions to the
Gracias
Korean
por su
community,
contribución
which is one of our most
a la
vibrant
comunidad
communities here in
coreana.
Los
Es una de
Angeles,
las
a truly
comunidades más,
international city with people from all over the world.
activas.
But our Korean
Nuestra
population in the San Fernando
población de
Valley
Corea del Valle,
and
San
downtown
Fernando
LA
y el
here is
centro
a
de Los
very
Ángeles
vibrant
es una
community,
comunidad
very involved,
vibrante,
and
muy
you've been a leader
involucrada.
of
Usted ha
that
sido un
community,
líder de esa
and it's
comunidad
appropriate that
y
today
es
on
adecuado
Korean
el día de hoy,
Independence Day,
el Día de
that we
Independencia de
recognize Susan
Corea,
Ankari
es
for her
reconocer a la señora
accomplishments.
Susan
Susan,
Ankari por
congratulations.
sus logros. Susan, felicitaciones.
Mr. Labange.
Señor Labange.
Thank you, and Mr.
Muchas
Smith, thank you
gracias,
very
señor
much. I
Smith.
know this
Muchas gracias.
afternoon on the
Sé que
South
esta
Lawn at
tarde
City
en el
Hall,
Pasto
there'll be
del
a
Sur
little
en el
ceremony for
Ayuntamiento habrá una
celebration
ceremonia para
of this
celebración
Independence
de
Day.
este Día de
But I love your
Independencia, pero
remarks,
me
Mr.
encanta su
Smith, when you spoke of this
presentación,
very
señor Smith, cuando
special
habló
person.
sobre esta
In
persona
this
muy
country, in
especial
this
en
country's
este
history,
país, en
this
esta
is the
historia de
person
este
who was
país,
the
es la
first
persona
female
que es la primera mujer
sergeant
sargenta
in the United
de
States
armas
Navy. That's a
Ejército Naval
tremendous
de los Estados
asset
Unidos.
that
Este es
you
un
see that
gran,
as
gran
someone
valor
who
que se ve
long
esto
ago
como alguien
broke
que hace mucho
barriers
tiempo
and served this country
quebrantó
well.
obstáculos y dio un gran
Kamsahamnida,
servicio a
Chingu, I love you.
este
Okay.
país.
Thank you.
La estimo mucho. Gracias.
This is a special honor for me
Este es un
today.
gran honor muy especial
First
para
of
mí.
all,
Le doy
I grew up
primero.
in
Yo
this
crecí en
neighborhood.
esta
I grew
comunidad.
up at first
Crecí
in
primero
Figueroa Street,
en la
where
calle
Dorothy
Figueroa,
Chandler
en Dorothy
Pavilion now
Chandler
stands.
Pavilion, donde
I
ahora
went to
está.
Fremont Avenue
Fui a la
School. I went
escuela
to Central
Fremont
Junior
Avenida,
High
fui a
School, which is no longer
Central, a la
named Central Junior
secundaria
High
Central.
School. And I went to Belmont
fui
High School,
a la
and I'm a
preparatoria
real
Belmont.
local yokel.
Y soy una persona
But I
local,
am
muy local,
deeply
pero
honored
es un gran
to
honor
have this particular
haber tenido
recognition
este reconocimiento
because I have
particular,
been
porque yo he
a Korean American
sido una americana
for
coreana ya
very
por
many years, since I was
muchísimos
told
años,
it was
desde que me
89.
dijeron, ya que
And so
le han
I
informado
am
que tengo 89
very
años de
honored
edad.
to
Es un gran
represent
honor poder
Korea
representar
in
a
a
Corea
fashion
de
that
una
is very
manera que
American
es muy
style.
estilo
I
muy,
am
muy americano.
A daughter
Soy hija
of the very noted patriot of Korea,
de
but he loved
un
Western democracy. And that was
patriota
the
muy
reason he
conocido en
came
Corea, pero él
to the United States
apreciaba
in
democracia, y por eso que
1902
vino a Estados
to
Unidos en
study
1902
Western
para estudiar
democracy.
democracia
And so when
occidental, y
he
por lo tanto cuando
had to
él
go back
tuvo que
in the times of
regresarse
dire
en los
times
momentos
of the
tan
Japanese
difíciles de la
occupation, he said to us,
invasión
and the
de
last time
Japón,
we
nos
saw
dijo
him,
nosotros la última vez que
he
lo
said,
miramos,
"Be
nos dijo,
good Americans,
sean buenos
but don't
americanos,
forget
pero
your
no olviden
heritage."
su,
And that's my mission, is to be good American and not to forget
no
my
olviden
heritage.
de dónde
Now, to
vienen, y esa es mi
include
misión,
that
ser buena americana y no
heritage,
olvidarme de dónde vine,
the
incluyendo
Dodgers
de
are
dónde
having
vienen
a
los
Korean night
Dodgers.
on August
Tendrán
20,
una noche para los
and
coreanos
they're
el 20 de
gonna honor
agosto,
me
y ellos me
as a Korean
prestarán
American.
honor como
And I
americana
am very
coreana,
honored.
y es un gran,
And
gran
it is a
honor, y
very
es
pleasant thing,
es
an
algo muy
honor for me to
placentero
be here
y
and
honor
see
poder
the
estar yo
faces
aquí y
of
mirar las
all the
caras
people
de
who are
todas las
running our
personas que
city.
están
I mean, I watch
administrando
you on
nuestra ciudad. Los
television,
miro a
but
ustedes
this is
en
a
televisión,
special
pero
treat
este es
for me to see you face
algo
to
muy
face,
especial verlos
and you
ustedes cara
all
a
look
cara, y
so
todos
familiar
ustedes
and so friendly,
son caras muy
and I am deeply
familiares y
honored.
muy,
Thank you.
muy amistosas, y es un gran, gran honor, profundo honor. Gracias.
Thank you very much. For our next
Muchas
presentation,
gracias
let
por
me
su presentación. Quiero
recognize
reconocer
Councilmember
a
Misikowski.
la concejala Misikowski.
Lieutenant, you just called it. I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
Thank you. Could I have Commander Betty Calapez please join me? Members, it seems, yes, she has a lot of staff and fans here from LAPD. Members, it was a very short while ago that we had Commander Calapez here because we were recognizing her for the national award that she had received for outstanding police service from the program, the Gary P. Hayes Memorial Award, which was a nationally recognized award given annually to a police professional whose vision, creativity, and motivation indicates her capacity for providing exemplary leadership in law enforcement. Last year, the year 2002, Commander Calapez won that national award. Today she's here for a less happy occasion, I think, for us in Los Angeles. This is Betty's leaving day. She is leaving the Los Angeles Police Department. But as we know, members, very, very often, Los Angeles Police Department officers, command staff are tapped across this country to lead police departments throughout this country. We talk about the experience and the depth and breadth and the high professional esteem in which Los Angeles Police Department is held, and I don't think there's any better tribute or proof of that than if we really were to go throughout this country and look at who is heading up police departments throughout this country. By far, the biggest number of them would be former Los Angeles Police Department officers and command staff. LAPD is just a great, great professional organization, and Commander Calipez exemplifies that. I'm going to tell you something about, we all around here, I don't think there's a day that goes by when we talk about a police department issue that we don't talk about recruitment, and we don't talk about the times when we were having a difficult time getting our police officers, police recruits into our department, and today when we have turned that corner. Members, you are looking at, I believe, one of two people in the Los Angeles Police Department who is primarily responsible for that turnaround, for having Los Angeles Police Department able to fill those classes and come and join Los Angeles Police Department. Commander Calipez, when she was head of the personnel group, worked with the personnel department. When I came here, we had letters being written back and forth between the personnel department and the police department, essentially pointing fingers at each other as to why we were having a problem. Commander Calipez stepped into that position and said, we're not going to point fingers anymore. We're going to work with personnel. We're going to make it work, and we're going to get the best recruits, the best candidates who want to join law enforcement, who are applying at LAPD, but for some reason our system didn't allow them to get through the system quick enough so that we could capture them. Betty Calipez, along with the personnel department, and let me give credit to then Chief Mike Bostic, who made that difference, who made that change, so that today LAPD is growing in strength, growing in its professionalism, and finding, again, the best and brightest of those who want to be law enforcement officers. Betty is going to the city of San Diego, where she's going to head up the San Diego Harbor Police Department. In fact, I think as we have a number of her staff members here today, her husband, who is Steve, a fireboat operator for Los Angeles Fire Department, isn't here because she's assigned him the responsibility to pack up the house to get ready to move. Betty, it really has been a pleasure for me personally to get to know you, to work with you, and to solve problems together. You've done it remarkably. Let me also remark that she, again, we've talked about some firsts today. Betty was the first female Los Angeles Police Department to be appointed to the rank of commander. So we are looking at firsts, we are looking at accolades, we are looking at her being tapped nationally for that recognition, and now being tapped to head up her own police agency for the San Diego Harbor Police. So Betty, it really is with regrets that after 23 years here as a Los Angeles police officer, you are leaving. But as I said, we are spreading Los Angeles Police Department's principles, its professionalism, and its talent far and wide, and not too far. So it is really with regret that I do present this to you because of your leaving, but with the greatest of thanks and respect and admiration for what you have done, for what you exemplify at Los Angeles Police Department, and what I know you will carry with you everywhere you go. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And members, let me just ask those who are here as we see them in her cheering section, those who have worked with her in her current position and in previous positions. I know we have Chief Papa and Chief McMurray here as well, but would everyone else who is here with Betty today please stand to be recognized by the council.
Let me recognize Mr. Labange for a few words.
Señor Labange.
family.
Felicitaciones a Tiberia y a tu
Being a Long Beacher,
familia.
getting down to San Diego won't be too much of a change
Ahora que
for
vives
you.
en Long Beach, llegar a San
But
Diego no
it's
va a ser
San Diego's
mucho cambio,
great
pero San
gain,
Diego
and
es
they have a wonderful city
ganará
there,
mucho
as we do
Luis Miguel
here.
tiene una
But I
gran
also
ciudad ahí,
want to
te
thank you,
apuntamos que
because
también
I've
gracias a ti
kind
porque
of climbed up a little ladder
yo
here, and you
también
climbed up a great
subí
ladder across the street,
posiciones,
and now you're climbing up
muchas
a greater
posiciones,
ladder in the state, being
muchas
responsible
escaleras al otro lado de
for
la calle, era
one of the
subir a una
busiest
escalera
ports,
más,
at least recreation-wise,
siendo
in the West Coast, and
una
also dealing with the United
ahora
States
con
Navy and all the
responsabilidad de
issues
todo
that it has to
un
be in the
puerto más
important
grande.
port city of San Diego. So I
Entonces,
wish you
San
well, and
Diego,
seeing
le
from the
deseo lo
fine
mejor,
amount of
mirando
contingent that came across the street,
los
that means you're
miembros de la
truly loved
comunidad
and
que
respected
llegó
by your
aquí.
colleagues. And
De toda la
I wish you
calle
well in
significa
all
que
your
esté sinceramente
future years of service, and thank you for helping the LAPD and
apreciada
helping women of
nuestra
the
prioridad a la
LAPD
prioridad al hombre y
advance.
mujeres
Thank
y a
you.
las mujeres de la PD avanzar en su carrera. Gracias.
Mr. Parks.
Señor Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Muchas gracias, señor
Getting ready to
presidente.
talk too quick.
Sí, siempre usted pone su lista para hablar rápidamente.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Muchas
I
gracias,
just wanted
señor
to rise and just say
presidente.
thank
Quiero
you to
ponerme
Betty
para
for
dar gracias a
all
Betty
of her
por todos
accomplishments,
sus
being the
logros,
first
siendo
female
la primera
commander,
mujer
and I think
comandante.
probably
Y
we're
yo creo
still
que
counting
quizás aún
first as
estamos
chiefs of
contando
police,
primero
but also the
como jefe de
issue
policía, pero
of,
también el asunto.
that I think you're
La
probably the
cuestión que creo que usted es la
15th
número
person that's
15, la
left the
15 persona
department
que
as chief
se ha
of police
ido
for the
del
last 4 to 5
departamento como jefe de
years,
policía en los
which
últimos
is
4 o
a
5 años, el
remarkable
cual es
accomplishment.
un gran
Often
logro.
in
Muchas
my prior
veces
life, we said
en
we
mis previas
sometimes are more
vidas decimos que muchas
respected
veces
out of
somos
the
más
city than you are
respetados fuera de la
here.
ciudad
So
que
it's
cuando estamos en dentro de la ciudad. Es desafortunado que pasamos por esa experiencia, pero es un gran logro de San Diego, pero es mucha pena que la ciudad le pierda a usted y su talento. Usted ha hecho un gran trabajo en cada trabajo y como Mr. Casco ha dicho, usted ha reorganizado el funcionamiento personal. No estaba muy contenta cuando fue allá, pero cuando usted llegó allá, básicamente reorganizó todo el proceso para que los reclutos entraran y que este proceso con el departamento personal fuera más fácil. Yo sé que sus esfuerzos serán muy apreciados también en el futuro. Muchas gracias, señor Zhang.
Commander,
Comandante, es
it's a sad day when
un
you
día
have
muy
to leave
triste
the
cuando
fine
tiene que
organization,
irse.
but I know there's
Esta
greener
organización también
pastures
dice
in
que
San
hay
Diego,
pastos más verdes en San
and the
Diego
weather's
y
obviously a lot cooler down there.
el
And
tiempo es
I know
mucho
your
más
times before
fresco.
on the
Sé que
risk
ha
management
venido usted
issues
varias
and how
veces.
you've gone back
Se ha
and
presentado
tried to
durante
help
la
correct
administración de
that
riesgos y
situation,
usted ha
and your
regresado a tratar de
experience with the
corregir
LAPD is
esta
tremendous. And I know that
situación y su
the
experiencia con el APD
support
es
you've given to
tremenda
the
y el
rank and
apoyo que
file
usted
over
ha
the
dado
years from my years with the Protective League, from now as a council member,
los
and
rangos
it's
de
been a very
posiciones de mis
positive
años,
environment
desde mis
relationship.
años
So I
y
wish you
otros
well,
años ha sido un gran
and San Diego
experiencia
is getting
positiva.
a
Le deseo lo
wonderful
mejor y San
representative
Diego
for that community
estará
and for
recibiendo
that
una
port.
gran
I think you have the
representante
airport and the harbor
para el
too.
puerto y el puerto
So
y el área de
it'll be a
Harvard también va a
handful,
ser
but you're well
mucho
capable
trabajo,
of
pero
handling that.
usted es muy
And
capaz
good wishes to
de
you in the future.
administrar esto y buenos deseos para usted en el futuro.
Mr. President,
Señor presidente,
Councilwoman Ms.
concejala
Kowski, thank you very much,
muchas
and all
gracias
council
y
members.
a todos los
This
miembros
is quite an honor,
municipales. Este es
and
un
it is the
gran
second time
honor
I've
y
been
la
in
segunda
front of
vez que
you
yo he estado
in a
aquí
while,
frente a
and
ustedes.
it's a little scary
y
sometimes.
es
The
un
scary part
poco-
about today, however, is the fact that my
Un poco
husband
miedo
is at
lo
home right now,
ahorita es que mi
loading
esposo
the
está
moving van
en
to head
casa
south to San
cargando
Diego while
la ven
I'm
para
here,
mudarnos para
and
irse
all
en San
my
Diego. Yo estoy
china and
aquí,
my
todos
crystal is being handled by
mis
3
platos
men.
de cristal y
having
mi china
said
está
that,
siendo
they are
cuidada
heading
por
on
3
down to San
hombres.
Diego.
Habiendo
We
dicho
are
esto,
moving
están
there,
yéndose
and
a
I'll
San
be heading
Diego.
up to San Diego
Iremos para allá también.
Harbor
Me iré
Police
a San
Department,
Diego, Departamento de
160
Policía de
professional
Harvard, 160
individuals
individuales
that
profesionales que
provide security to
proveen
both the
seguridad para
seaport
ambos,
and
el
the
puerto
airport
del
of
océano
San
y el
Diego. They are
aeropuerto de
also
San Diego.
marine
También ellos son
firefighters. So with my husband as
bomberos
a
de
Long Beach
marinos
fireboat operator, what a
como
perfect
mi esposo,
relationship that's all going
operador
to
de
be. And as
barcos
Councilwoman
bomberos. Se usa una gran relación como la
Miskowski
concejala
said,
Ms.
this
Kowski ha
organization
dicho,
and
esta
this city
organización y
has
esta
truly
ciudad
prepared me
verdaderamente me
for
ha
this
preparado
challenge
para
that I'm
este
about to
reto que
undertake. Because
tomaré,
what might not
porque
have been
lo
a
que
challenge
quizás no
3
hubiese sido un
years ago
reto hace
before
3 años
9/11
antes del
is
11
truly
de
a challenge
septiembre,
for
realmente
this
es un reto
for
para
the city of San
la ciudad
Diego
de San Diego
now
ahora
with the issue of homeland
con el
security
asunto
and
de
security for
seguridad
the people
para
of
el
that
país
city.
y para el pueblo de esa
You
ciudad.
have prepared me for
Ustedes me han
that.
preparado para
You have
esto,
prepared me
me han
with all its
preparado con
goods and its
todo
bads and its ups
lo
and its
bueno y lo
downs
malo,
and all the
subidas y bajas
challenges
y
that the
todos los
23 and a half
retos de
years of the
los
LAPD
23
has
años y
provided.
medio.
And
que
because
la
of
pena
that,
me ha
I will be
entregado y
able
por
to go
esto
down there
podré
and
ir
do the
allá
very
y
best
hacer el
job,
mejor
and not only
trabajo que
bring
yo
that
solamente
agency from
traeré
a
esta
professional
agencia
agency
de
to a
tarjeta
world-class
profesional a
agency.
una
So I
agencia
want to thank you for
mundial
all
de
the
primera
ups and
clase.
downs
Gracias
and
por
goods and
todas las
bads,
subidas,
because
bajadas,
it
lo
has
bueno y lo malo,
made
porque
me
me
a
ha
better leader,
hecho
a
un
leader that
mejor
I
líder, un
can
líder
be
que yo
for
puedo
that
ser para
agency.
esta
And I
agencia.
want to
Y
thank all of
bueno,
you
gracias a
council
todos ustedes,
members. It
concejales.
has been an
Ha
honor
sido
to
un
serve
gran
with all of
honor
you,
dar servicio
sitting
con
at the
todos
bench
ustedes
on a regular
aquí
basis,
sentada en
an
la
honor and a
mesa.
privilege to have
Regularmente es un
gotten to
honor y
know you,
privilegio haberles
because there's
conocidos porque
nowhere else
no
in
hay
this
en ninguna otra
world
parte en el mundo
that I can
que
imagine
yo puedo
that I could
imaginar
have
haber
learned what
podido
I
aprender
did,
lo que
that I could have
aprendí,
been
que
involved
yo
in such an
pude haber estado
engaging
involucrado en
organization,
una
in a
organización
city
tan linda, en
that's
una
so
ciudad que
exciting,
es tan,
that's
tan
so
emocionante,
interesting,
tan
and that is so well
interesante y es
prepared
tan
for the
bien
future.
preparada para el futuro.
So good luck to
Buena
you
suerte a
all.
ustedes
Be
también.
well, be
Estén
healthy,
bien, estén
be happy,
saludables, estén
and it's been a
felices y ha
privilege.
sido un
Thank
gran
you.
privilegio. Muchas gracias.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Mr. Garcetti for a presentation.
Señor Garcetti, para una presentación.
Mr. Garcetti here?
¿Se encuentra el señor Garcetti?
Okay, let's
No.
proceed then to a
Continuaremos
presentation
entonces
by
para una
Councilmember
presentación de
Parks.
parte del concejal Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Muchas gracias,
I'd
señor
like to ask
presidente.
Mr.
Me gustaría
Ernest
pedirle al señor
Priestley,
Ernest
President of
Priestley,
the African
presidente de
American Marketplace and Cultural Affairs, to come up.
Asuntos
Also,
Culturales.
Michelle Ballard, board member
También Michelle
of the
Ballard,
African
miembro de Junta
Marketplace
Directiva para el African
event,
Marketplace,
and also
evento
Mr.
cultural.
James
También al
Burke
señor
from
James
Cultural
Burke
Affairs.
de Asuntos Culturales.
Are we all here?
¿Se encuentran
Okay,
aquí? Sí,
all right.
están aquí todos presentes.
I would like to
Me
commend
gustaría
this
felicitar
organization
a
and
esta
plus the city's
organización
Cultural
y
Affairs
al
Department
Departamento de Asuntos
for,
Culturales
number one,
por
finding a permanent home for the
encontrar un
African
lugar permanente
Marketplace
para el African
at the
Marketplace en el
Coliseum,
Coliseo,
right in the heart of
en el
our
centro
museums,
de
our
los
African American
museos,
Museum and
de
our
museos
American
afroamericanos,
Museum, and also our
Museo
Science
Americano y
Museum, and
también
at
Museo de
the base of the
Ciencia
sports
en la
arena
base
and
de la
the
Sports,
Exposition
la
Park
arena
and the Memorial
deportiva,
Coliseum.
Parque
But
de
what's most
Exposición, el Coliseo
important
Memorial, pero más
is continue the
importante
theme
es
of the African
continuar el
Marketplace,
tema
where the
del African
focal
Marketplace,
point
donde
is the
el
cultural
punto focal
exposure
es
for visitors to know about the African
presentación
influence
cultural para que los visitantes sepan acerca de la influencia afroamericana, su tradición, su comida, las presentaciones que representan la cultura africana y el impacto que está tenido en todo el mundo. Esto se llevará a cabo por 4 fines de semana continuos. Con esta actividad, la comunidad es bienvenida a que venga y tome ventaja de esta experiencia. Habrá varios asuntos, varias actividades como de un aldea de niños, el lugar de tecnología de juegos, pero es importante saber que esta organización sin fin de lucro ha sido organizada y ha creado paraguas para el Concilio de Turismo de Afroamericana y su junta directiva también ha presentado para organizar una función fantástica para la ciudad de Los Ángeles. Y hoy, con la adopción de esta resolución, el Consejo de la Ciudad de Los Ángeles declara los fines de semana desde el 16 de agosto hasta el 1 de septiembre Los Ángeles Marketplace Cultural Fair de la Ciudad de Los Ángeles por 18 años. Quisiera pedirle al señor Priestley que hace unos comentarios, por favor. Al presidente del Consejo Municipal, concejal Parks, muchas gracias por esta oportunidad de compartir con esta resolución, particularmente. Estamos muy emocionados acerca del liderazgo del concejal Parks. Nos ha presentado conmigo, le doy a otros 2 miembros de la Junta Directiva del African Marketplace, Angela Ruddock
Michelle
y Michelle Ballard-Smith,
and our executive director
y
from
nuestro
the
director
Cultural
ejecutivo
Affairs
de
Department,
Asuntos Culturales de ese
James
departamento, James
James
Burke.
has been
James
the
ha sido
founder and
el
the energy for
fundador
this
y la
event for the
energía
last
para este
18
evento por
years,
los últimos
and we're
18
excited about the
años y estamos
continuation of it,
muy
but
emocionados por
particularly
esta
excited
continuación.
about
Particularmente estamos emocionados
making the permanent marketplace
hacer
at
el
the
lugar
LA
para este
Coliseum
mercado
and
en el Coliseo de
Sports
Los
Arena.
Ángeles
We
y en el
appreciate
Sport
that. And thank you,
Arena
Councilman
Deportiva.
Parks.
Gracias por eso. Gracias, concejal Parks.
And I would also like to say on
Me gustaría
behalf
decir
of
de
Marjorie
parte
Reese, who
de
couldn't be here
Marguerite,
today.
no
She
puede
had a
estar aquí el
slight
día de hoy, ella
accident, so
tuvo
she
un
couldn't get here
accidente,
today.
pero no puede
That
llegar
the
aquí
Cultural
el día de
Affairs
hoy.
Department
El
is always
Departamento
happy
de
to be
Asuntos
involved with
Culturales
this
con mucho
particular
gusto
event.
siempre
And we want
está
to invite
emocionado
everyone to come
participar
out.
en este
There's
evento. Le
3
invitamos
weeks
a
also
todos que
includes
nos
the Global
visiten
Cinema and
las
Urban
semanas.
Music
También
Symposium that's
incluye
being held on the campus of the University of Southern California, where we're
taller
bringing
de cine de
49 Pan-African
teatro
film
en el
festivals from
Universidad
around
de
the world here
California.
to Los Angeles to discuss cultural exchange
Tenemos
and diversity
diferentes
in film
expertos en
distribution. There's
distribución de
also the Nation
películas.
Cup tennis tournament that's for junior tennis players that's being held at the Lions Stadium
se
on the campus
reúnen
of
también para
USC.
hacer también
And the Brazil Festival,
el
because as
Festival
everyone knows, Salvador
Brasileño.
Bahia
Todos
is a
sabemos que
sister city to
Salvador
Los Angeles, so
Bahía
we
es
have a
una
huge
ciudad hermana de
celebration
Los Ángeles,
of
pero
Brazil
tenemos
the
una
last weekend of the African
celebración
Marketplace.
grande
So
el último
in front of you
fin de
is a
semana de
VIP
este
pass.
evento.
Everyone
Entonces
is
es un
invited
pase
to come
para
out
VIP, todo el mundo es invitado a
anytime, any
venir
day that you
en cualquier
want to
momento.
come. Also,
Cualquier
it's the
hora que
opening
se
night
también
gala,
es
which is
la
also in
gala
front of you,
del
which
día
is
de
the
la
invitation for
apertura,
that
es la
tonight, and you're our
invitación para
guest
esta
there as
noche.
well.
Ustedes sean nuestros
So
invitados y
we're
esta
really
noche, por lo
pleased
tanto,
to invite
estamos muy
everyone in the
contentos
entire
y
city of Los Angeles
invitamos
to
a
come out
todos a
and
la ciudad
support
de
these
Los
3
Ángeles
weeks.
que vengan y
Oh, by
apoyen
the way,
estas semanas
this is
también.
one of the few
Este es uno de
events
los
in the
primeros
United States
eventos
that's
de
been
Estados
nominated
Unidos que
as
ha
the
sido
top 100,
nombrado
one of the top 100 events in North America twice in the last 6 years.
uno de los primeros 100 eventos en los Estados Unidos.
Mr. Cárdenas for a brief introduction.
Señor Cárdenas, para una breve presentación.
Okay. Colleagues, members of the public, I'd like to introduce somebody very special to
Colegas, me gustaría
California.
presentarles a alguien
Dan
que es muy
Rabowski
especial en
and his
California,
wife Marianne are down
Ron
here from
y su
Sacramento.
esposa
And I
Marianne
just
están aquí
wanted
de
to welcome
Sacramento y
them.
quiero dar la
But the
bienvenida
reason
a
why I
ellos
say
por
that Dan Rabowski is one of the
quiero
special
decir que
people in
Dan Rabowski
California.
es una de las personas muy especiales
Very
de
few
California,
people
muy pocas
understand the
personas
budget of the
entienden
state of
el
California
presupuesto del estado de
and the inner
California
workings of
y
how we keep government flowing throughout the state. And Dan Rabowski is one of those few professionals and
la
those
manera
few
en que
people
uno
who understand it to
mantiene
the degree that he does. So I'd like us all to welcome him because he's one of the good guys. He's one of the people who are trying to make California whole, trying to make good decisions for all of us, 35 million people, and certainly someone who's very conscious and someone who is very understanding about the fact that local government needs to do its job as well. So thank you, Dan, for all the work that you do, and Marianne, welcome to Los Angeles.
A Los Ángeles a ambos.
Mr. Garcetti for a
Señor
presentation.
Garcetti, para una presentación.
It's been canceled?
Ha sido cancelada.
Okay.
Bien.
Then that concludes the
Eso
presentation
termina la
segment of
parte
today's
de
agenda.
las presentaciones de la
Madam
agenda del día de hoy.
Clerk, next order of
Secretario
business,
Municipal,
please.
procedamos por
Approval of
favor.
the minutes.
Mr. Smith moves and Ms. Gruhl seconds.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Cardenas moves and Mr. Park seconds.
Before beginning the regular agenda,
Empezar
Mr.
la
President, there are
regulación
several
presenta
items that have
varios
been
asuntos que
requested to
han
be
sido
continued.
pedir ser
Item
aplazados.
number
Asunto
16,
número
a
16,
request
una
to continue
petición para
that from
aplazar
Councilmember Perry to
esto de la
continue that
concejala
matter
Perry,
to September
aplazarse
16th.
hasta el 16 de
Colleagues
septiembre.
request to continue item
Colegas, se
number
pide
16.
continuar asunto número
Seeing no
16 sin
objection, item
protesta.
16 is
Asunto 16
continued.
será aplazado.
And also a request
También
from
petición
Councilmember
para de
Gruhl
la
to continue
concejala
item
Crow
number
aplazar asunto
57
número
to September
57
2nd.
al 12 de
Colleagues
septiembre.
request to continue
Colegas,
item number
petición para
57,
aplazar asunto
also
57
without
también sin protesta.
On the regular
En la agenda
agenda, items
regular,
noticed for public
asuntos avisos
hearing,
de
item
audiencia
number
pública,
1
asunto
is
1,
protest
es
against proposed alley
protesta en contra
vacation, and I believe there is
de
a
cerrar
card from the
una
public.
callejón y
We
creo
do have
que
a
hay una
card on
tarjeta
item
al
number
público,
1. We
una
can call
tarjeta
that
sobre asunto
special.
número 1, será que
Mr.
usted
Labange?
especial. Señor Labange,
Item number 3 be
asunto número 3 puede ser aplazado hasta el 3 de septiembre.
Okay, colleagues, we have a request to continue item number 3
Petición para aplazar asunto
till
número
September
3
3rd,
hasta el
also
3 de
without
septiembre,
objection.
también sin protesta.
Item 1 is called
Asunto
special.
1 ha sido categorizado como especial.
item.
Procedamos.
Item number
Asunto
2
número 2
is also public
también
hearing.
es
Item
audiencia.
number, public hearing, and that's the
Audiencia
lead abatement,
pública
and
y
council should confirm the
Consejo Municipal
assessments.
debe de confirmar
Item number
Los
2,
costos
colleagues, any
números,
requests
colegas,
to call this item
para que trate
special?
este asunto como
Do
especial.
not have
No
requests
tengo
from members of the
petición del
public to
público para
address the council
hablar
on
con la
item
Comisión
number
sobre
2.
asunto número 2.
Therefore, the public
Por lo
hearing is
tanto,
deemed
la
open
audiencia
and
pública se abre
closed.
y se cierra.
And seeing no requests to call this item special, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on item number 2.
Secretario Municipal,
Please
el voto
close the
sobre
roll
número 2,
and
cierre ese
tabulate
voto
the
y
vote.
tabúlese conteo.
That is
11 sí,
approved.
ha sido aprobado.
And colleagues, as we begin to vote
Colegas,
on
mientras
items,
empezamos a votar
as has been the
sobre
case all
asuntos,
week, this is the
como
last
ocurrió el
council
lunes, el
meeting
último
before
reunión
the
de
two-week
municipal antes
recess. All matters
del
approved today shall go
descanso de 2
forthwith.
semanas. Todos los asuntos serán
Next
enviados
item,
al alcalde.
Next items,
Empezamos.
Mr. President, are items
Señor
for which
presidente,
public hearings
asuntos
have been
asuntos
held.
que
Items
tienen
4 through
público
25.
haciendo
Committee
4,
reports have
25
been
reportes del
submitted
comité han sido
on 4,
presentados
5, 6,
sobre asuntos
10,
4, 5, 6,
11,
10,
15,
11,
18,
15,
and 19,
18,
and those have been
19 y 10
distributed
han
to all
sido
the council
distribuidos a
members.
todos los
Thank you
miembros
very
del
much,
Consejo
colleagues.
Municipal.
Items
Muchas
4
gracias,
through
colegas.
25.
Asunto 4,
Now, before
25
us,
están
public
pendientes de
hearings
audiencias
have
públicas.
been held on
Se
these
llevará a
items.
cabo
A
sobre
motion
estos
from the
asuntos.
floor
Una
will be
moción
required
se
to reopen
requiere
the
para
public
reabrir la
hearings.
audiencia
Are there
pública.
any requests for
¿Hay alguna
specials?
petición para especiales?
Mr. Cardenas?
Señor Cárdenas.
Mr. Cardenas?
Señor Cárdenas.
Yes, on the file,
Sí,
item number
el
19.
archivo, asunto
I'd like
número
to call
19,
that special.
se como especial.
Item 19 called special
Asunto
by
19 que
Mr.
será especial
Cardenas.
por el
Mr.
señor
Labange.
Cárdenas, señor Labange. 14.
14 called special by Mr.
Que será especial
Labange.
por el señor Labange.
Any other specials?
¿Algún otro?
Mr. Villaraigosa?
Señor
For Ms.
Villaraigosa.
Perry, I'd
Para
like to
la señora Perry,
call
me gustaría
item
revisar
number
asunto
17.
17
17 called special
17
for Ms.
para
Perry.
la señora Perry.
Any other
¿Algún
specials?
otro?
Because I may get the
Do you wish to
question.
call that special, Mr. Labange?
Yeah, I think so.
Item number 8
Asunto 8.
I may get
called
an answer.
special by Mr. Labange.
Otro será especial por el
Any
señor
other
Labange. ¿Algún
specials?
otro?
Items 4 through 25.
25.
Yeah, I understand
Sí.
item number 7. I believe there's a request to withdraw that from council and refer that to the Cable Franchise Oversight Committee.
Okay, without objection, item
comité
7 is withdrawn
de
and
sucursales de
so
cable.
referred.
Bien, se
Ms.
llevará
Perry,
a cabo. Señora Perry.
one more time, Ms.
De
Perry.
nuevo, señora Perry.
23 special,
23.
22
22.
special.
22.
called special by Ms. Perry.
Categoría especial por la señora Perry.
Any other specials?
¿Algún otro?
Seeing none, Madam Clerk, on
Y
the
no,
balance of the
secretario
items, please
municipal.
open
El
the
resto de los
roll.
asuntos abra ese voto.
Please close the
Cierra ese
roll
voto.
and tabulate the
Tabule ese
vote.
conteo.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Those matters are
Estos asuntos han
approved.
sido aprobados.
Next item, please.
Next items are items for which
Siguiente
public hearings have not been
asunto, no
held,
tiene audiencia
26 through
público 26 a
57, 10 votes are
57, 10
required for
votos se necesitan
consideration.
para considerar.
26 through 57 now
26
before us, and
ahora
without
están pendientes
objection,
en
we shall
protesta.
consider these
Debemos
items
considerar
today.
estos asuntos el día
We
de
do
hoy.
have cards on
Tenemos
item
tarjetas
26.
del
Let's call
público,
that item
asunto 26,
special.
por lo tanto será
The
categorizada
balance
como
of the
especial el
items
resto de los asuntos
27 through
27 a
56.
56.
have
No
requests
tenemos
from members of the
petición de
public to address the
miembros públicos
council.
para hablar con el Consejo
Therefore, we
Municipal,
shall
por lo
deem the
tanto la
public
audiencia
hearings
pública se
open
abre y
and
se cierra.
closed. Do we have any requests
Tenemos
for
una
specials?
petición para especial.
Ms. Gruhl?
¿Qué es como especial, señora Gruhl? Después de este.
Any requests for specials?
Petición para
Items
categorizar como
27
especial,
through
asunto 27 a
56.
56.
Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please
¿No?
open the roll.
Secretario,
Please
abre
close
ese
the
voto,
roll
cierre ese
and
voto y
tabulate
tabule
the
ese
vote.
conteo.
11 ayes.
11 sí.
Those are
Han
approved.
sido
Item
aprobados.
54
Asunto
is approved with
54
a
ha sido
technical
aprobado con
correction
una
changing
corrección
the date
técnica
from
cambiando la
August 8th
fecha
to
del
August
8 de
10th on
agosto
that
al 10 de
file.
agosto en el expediente.
Next item, please.
Procedamos.
Item number
Asunto
58
número
is an item for
58,
which public
asunto
hearing
que
has been held.
ha tenido audiencia
58,
pública. Asunto
colleagues, any request
58,
to call this
colegas,
item
petición para
special?
categorizarse como especial.
Ms. Hahn.
Sí, señora Han.
Ms. Hahn called
Especial,
item
señora
58
Han.
special.
Categoriza asunto
Madam
58
Clerk, is that
especial.
the end
Secretario
of
Municipal,
our
es el
regular
fin
meeting
de
agenda?
nuestra de la agenda regular, sí.
I'm sorry.
Mr. President, there were some ordinances that were
Hay
adopted without
ordenanzas que fueron adoptados
12 members
sin
present. Do you wish to go
los
back and
presentes, ¿desea usted
do items 4 and reconsider 4 and 5?
Considerar 4 y
Okay,
5.
let's reopen the
Hay
roll
que
on items
reabrir
4 and
la
5 now that we
lista.
have 12 members present.
Los votos en 4 y 5
And
ahora que
once
tenemos
again,
4 miembros
close the
presentes.
roll,
Abre ese voto, cierre ese
tabulate
voto y
the
tabule ese conteo.
12 ayes.
Those
12 sí,
ordinances
esas
are
ordenanzas han
approved.
sido aprobadas.
Mr. Villaraigosa?
Señora Villaraigosa.
Mr. President, did
Señor
you say item
presidente, dijo
6
usted que asunto
will be sent
6 será
forthwith?
enviado al
All
alcalde.
items approved
Todos los
are sent
asuntos
forthwith.
son enviados.
Okay, and Madam Clerk, if that is the end
Secretario,
of
se
our
pasa
regular
este
meeting
fin de la
agenda, let's
agenda.
temporarily recess.
Mr. President, the
Regular, sí.
special
Se
meeting was
presenta
posted for
la
12:15.
reunión.
We're going to be here late today. Let's go back into items called special.
Item number 1 was called special in as much as there are cards from the public.
And I've been advised by the guard that Mr. Harrison Carrigal has withdrawn his card, and there are no other members of the public wishing to address the council, so the public hearing is closed for item number 1. Members wishing to be heard on item number 1? Are there members wishing to be heard on item number 1? If not, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 sís.
That is approved.
Ha sido aprobado.
Next item, please.
Item number 8 was called special by Councilmember Labange.
Concejal Labange, señor Labange, asunto 8.
Yes, is anyone here from
¿Se
the
encuentra alguien aquí del
Department of Transportation?
Departamento de Transportación?
I don't know if they're listening.
No sé si
in
están
this,
escuchando.
coming up right now, but
Si
members,
es así, venga,
on this
porque está
particular issue, is
este
anyone here
asunto
from the
particular, está
CLA
alguien
who
aquí del
could
CLA?
give us a little information on this issue,
¿Alguien puede
Mr.
darnos
Miller?
información sobre este asunto, señor Miller?
Yeah.
Well, the report before you, it's just essentially it's a status report and condition, funding condition of the Special Parking Revenue Fund.
Right.
It went through Budget and Finance Committee.
Right, I went through Budget and Finance. Could I ask you to go through Transportation Committee? You have any problem with that, Councilman Parks? I want Transportation Committee to look at this
Comité de
because of its
Transportación,
parking
mire
and
esto
traffic
por
and
estacionamiento, por
transportation.
tránsito y
So if we could
transportación, por
refer
tanto,
this to
se puede enviar este
the Transportation Committee, we'd have
Comité
a
de
chance then to come
Transportación
to
que
council,
nos
is that all
de
right?
que este sea reenviado al Consejo
Madam
Municipal. ¿Es
Clerk,
así,
I
secretaria?
move that this
Municipal,
be
pido
sent to
que
the
este sea
Transportation
enviado al
Committee
Comité de
for their
Transportación
expert review of this
para que ellos
matter.
repasen este asunto.
Who are the committee people on
¿Quiénes
there?
son miembros del comité?
Thank you.
De ese comité, gracias.
Transportation.
Ms. Perry.
Señora Perry.
Thank you very much,
Muchas gracias.
Mr. President.
Señor
I just wanted
Presidente,
to
quiero
comment on the record
hacer un
as one
comentario en
who
las
probably
actas
generates
como alguien que
some of the highest amounts in the
genera
city,
las
the
grandes
Parking Revenue
cantidades
Fund.
en la
It has
ciudad
been
del
an interest
fondo
of mine
de
since
ingresos
my
de alimentos.
arrival
Es
here
un
to
gran
make
interés
sure
mío
that
desde que llegué aquí asegurar que
the way that we
la
engage
manera
each other
que
in using
nos
money from the
incluimos
funds as
para
council
utilizar dinero de
people
ese
is a
fondo
much
como
more
concejales es
open
que sea de una manera más abierta, un proceso más abierto, que sea
having been a city
abierto
employee for
más
so many years,
habiendo
I
sido un
know
empleado de
that
hace
I had
muchos años.
witnessed
Yo sé que
firsthand
yo
money being borrowed out of the fund and
tengo
taken into other
experiencias que
districts,
dinero
but
se
not spent
pide
in districts
prestado a
in
otro
which it
sitio,
was
pero
generated,
no se
and
regresa a ese
I worked
distrito
very
y se gasta
aggressively
de
to
manera
try
que
to
debe
change
ser
that
gastado. Yo he
trend, and will
cambiado
continue to
agresivamente
do
para
so to make
cambiar
sure that it gets spent in
esta
the ninth,
manera
but,
y quiero asegurar
just
que
to say that
este
the process that
permanezca
is
en el
much more
noveno, pero
open
que
and well
este sea un
documented and
proceso más
easily
abierto y sea
understood
bien documentado y
is one that
fácilmente
I am
entendido. Eso es
going to
algo
push
que
for.
yo apoyaré.
Mr. Chair, I was out of the room. Could I get a reconsideration for
Quiero
7 and
reconsiderar
18?
asuntos 7 y
Okay,
18.
let's dispense with the item before us.
Primero tenemos que traer con este
before we
asunto
take a
pendiente
motion for
antes de tener una
reconsideration.
moción para reconsiderar estos asuntos.
Mr. Labange?
Señor Labange.
We asked that this go to
Pido que esto sea
Transportation Committee,
enviado al
so
Comité de
Transportation
Transportación
Committee
para
could
que el
review
Comité de
it
Transportación
and
pueda
come back to
repasar y luego
council.
regresar hacia el Consejo
Okay.
Municipal.
Members request to
Miembro
refer this item back
pide
to the
enviar ese
Transportation
asunto de
Committee.
nuevo al Comité de Transportación.
Is there any objection?
¿Protesta?
Seeing none.
¿Posición?
This item
No,
is so referred.
este asunto será enviado.
Next item, please.
Procedamos,
Item
por
number
favor, asunto
14,
número
called special by
14,
Councilmember
especial por el
Labange.
concejal
Mr.
Labange.
Labange,
Señor
item
Labange,
14.
asunto
Yeah, thank you.
14.
Is Mr. Nelson
Gracias,
here
señor
from
Nelson
the
se encuentra
Department of
aquí del
Neighborhoods and
Departamento
Mr.
de
Christopher,
Comunidades, el
the
señor
president
Christopher,
of the
presidente de
Commission
la
on the
Comisión
Department of Neighborhoods.
del
And Mr.
Departamento de
Miller,
Comunidades, el
if you
señor
wanna
Miller.
Join us at the table there.
Pase a la mesa.
Members, this issue
Miembros,
is
este
a
asunto
matter that I think
es
is
un
very
asunto que creo
important
yo
as we
que es muy importante mientras
encourage the Department of Neighborhood as they
apoyamos al
evolve
Departamento
into
de Comunidades mientras
the
este
very meaningful
crece
role that they have
a
in
la
city
posición
government.
muy significante que ellos tienen
Mr. Christopher, would you like to
dentro del
address the
gobierno
council on
municipal.
this?
¿Quiere hablar con el Consejo Municipal sobre esto?
Members of council,
Miembro del Consejo
thank you for
Municipal,
the
muchas gracias
opportunity
por
this
esta
morning
oportunidad
to come before
de
you.
presentarme ante ustedes.
Councilmember Labange has
Concejal
proposed
Labange
a
ha
motion
presentado
whereby
una moción
our
para
commission
que nuestra
and
comisión
the
y
Neighborhood and Education Committee would
el
jointly
Comité de
meet to
Comunidades
discuss the future of the
y
department with
Educación
regard
se
to
reúnen para
helping
hablar sobre el
neighborhood
futuro del
councils
departamento para
evolve into
ayudar a los
empowered bodies
concilios de la comunidad
within city
crezcan
government.
como
And on
grupos
behalf of my fellow commissioners, we
con poder
very much welcome the
dentro del
opportunity
gobierno municipal.
to
Nosotros
meet
damos la
with the
bienvenida a esta
committee
oportunidad para
members
reunirnos con los miembros
and
del
to address that
comité y
situation.
hablar sobre esta situación.
Mr. Nelson.
Señor Nelson
the general manager.
es el administrador general.
Nelson, General
Greg Nelson,
Manager.
administrador general.
Also addressing the
También
other part of the
hablando acerca de la
motion,
otra
we have
parte
a
de esta
report
moción, tenemos
before
un
you that was
reporte
circulated
que
in
fue
committee
distribuido dentro del
that hopefully in a
comité y
glanceable
espero
kind of
que
way shows you
de
the
una
aggressive
manera puedan ver
method
el
that we
método
are
agresivo
been pursuing the
que
training of
hemos estado
neighborhood
tratando
councils
y utilizando para
and
entrenar a
where we
los
plan
consejos
to
de la
go
comunidad
on its
y
next
nuestro
stage,
plan en el
which is
futuro
to
para el siguiente
really
paso. Esto es
amplify
para
the training that we
ampliar el
provide to the
entrenamiento que
neighborhood
proveemos a
councils
los
once they
consejos de
have
la
their
comunidad,
elected governing boards
ya que
and are
tengan
looking at
sus
themselves and
juntas
sort of asking the
de
question, what
gobernantes y
next?
ahora
And
preguntamos
Mr. President,
y ellos están preguntando ahora qué
Mr.
hacemos,
President,
señor
you do
presidente.
have some public
Usted
speaker
tiene
comments there. I
comentarios
think
del público ahí, creo yo.
one from
Uno.
just that the person had to leave, but they wanted me to have their name called.
Okay, the person who submitted a card for public comment is Susan Polifonio.
From the Hollywood.
But for the record, Mr. Laban, public hearing was held on this
Audiencia
item.
pública se
But
llevó
I
a cabo
wanted
esta
to give
solicitud,
Susan
pero
credit.
quería
She's a
darle
great
su
people.
We'll add her to the record.
On
traemos a
Franklin
las
Avenue,
actas.
and very passionate
Ella es
about
residente
trying
en la
to
avenida
get
Franklin,
more
es
information
está muy
from the
interesada
Department
en
of
recibir más
Neighborhoods on
información del
how to
departamento
do
de
things
comunidades,
to engage in improving their
quiere saber
neighborhood
cómo hacer
and making sure they don't get
actividades
tripped up
para
by the
mejorar su
bureaucratic
comunidad, que
process
asegurar que
that
no
sometimes happen
se
anytime there's
retrasen
new
por el
organization.
proceso
You're into your
burocrático. Eso
second
ocurre
season, so to
en
speak.
una
Almost 3 million
organización nueva.
people
Usted ya está
of the
en
4 million people of
segunda
Los Angeles
etapa,
are
tiene 3 millones
engaged in
de
some
personas que están
part of a
involucradas en
neighborhood
cierta
council.
parte
In
del
my
consejo
council
de
district,
la comunidad
every
del distrito
neighborhood but
del
Hancock
consejo
Park,
municipal,
Windsor
todas
Square
las comunidades
is in
de
a
Hancock
neighborhood
Park
council.
también
Every
está dentro de
neighborhood in my
una
district, and I'm sure
consejo municipal
in your
cada
district, and we go around
comunidad, y sé que en su distrito también,
horseshoe here,
mientras
you can see that
miramos
engagement.
alrededor,
Now let's
vea que
step it up a
estamos
little.
ahí,
Let's
que
step it
elevarlo
up
ahora, hay
and
que
make sure
elevarlo y
there's
asegurar
that
que
help
haya asistencia
given by the
de asistencia
47
por los
representatives. How many
47
representatives in
¿cuántos
your department?
representantes en su departamento?
field, we have 25.
En el
25 and out of the
comunidad
field.
tenemos 45
Out of the field,
y fuera
then
de
there's
la comunidad hay
another
otros
20.
20, so 45.
20.
I was off by 2. So take those
Entonces,
45
quite
people
esas 45
and get them in to
personas y
push information how to be successful
den
in
más
getting their
información
neighborhoods
cómo
the
ser
needs that they
exitosos
want done
y así
in the
que para que las
process.
necesidades
Thank you,
de estas
Mr. President. I
comunidades
ask for
sean
aye vote on
logradas
this.
en este proceso. Gracias, señor
Ms.
presidente.
Hahn.
Pido un voto sí. Señora Han.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Gracias, señor
Colleagues,
presidente y colegas.
I just rise in
Me
support
pongo
of
de pie
this
para apoyar eso
and
también y
feel like
siento
it's
que
a
es
time when we
un
really
momento
need to get
donde
the commission
necesitamos
and
hacer
the
que la
department,
comisión y los
along with
departamentos junto con
education neighborhoods to again
el
really
Departamento de
focus
Educación de
on
las
what's
comunidades que se
next.
enfoque en la
And
siguiente,
I
el
think
siguiente
it might
paso.
be
Yo creo
overdue,
que ya es
because
tiempo
clearly
porque
I don't think
claramente yo no
we
creo que
envisioned
tenemos esta visión. Tenemos la visión de la cantidad de consejos de la comunidad que iban a organizarse rápidamente y con tanta pasión y darnos cuenta que muchos de los miembros de la comisión se incluyen con consejos de la comunidad que ya son certificadas. Sí, no quiero presumir, pero en mi comunidad la primera que certificado en la ciudad de ya va a llegar a su aniversario de 2 años. Tiene un consejo de la comunidad que ha estado funcionando ya casi por 2 años, mientras ciertos son nuevos y aún están pasando para ser certificados. Hay consejos de la comunidad que quieren llegar al siguiente paso que yo, que a veces lo que nos preocupa, si sabemos que el departamento algunas veces tiene muchísimo trabajo, pero lo que nos preocupa es que algunas veces en nuestros comités de comunidades y educación, muchas veces personas vienen y dicen no tienen lugar donde conectar su computadora, no tienen línea telefónica. Cosas como estas espero que podamos reenfocar nuestros administradores de proyectos para así tomar esta misión del departamento y conocer el departamento de fortalecimiento de las comunidades. Es una de las mejores misiones de cualquier departamento de la ciudad, de empezar a fortalecer a las comunidades. Yo sé que ustedes están ocupadísimos con su educación, pero de verdad necesitamos entender que consejos de la comunidad entiendan la declaración del impacto de la comunidad. Hasta poco creo que hemos recibido unos cuantos de declaraciones de impacto de la comunidad que está incluso en nuestra agenda. Esto es una herramienta muy poderosa que tenemos para el presidente de esta comunidad, que cada miembro del Consejo Municipal sepa antes de votar algo qué impacto tiene en una comunidad en particular. Si eso está ocurriendo de la manera que debe de ocurrir, creo que necesitan ayuda ahora para aprender a caminar, aprender a correr, para fortalecerles para... Yo sé que todos tienen esta visión, este gran movimiento para lograr en Los Ángeles. Creo que esto es lo que está empezando. Será muy bueno reunirnos.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Other
Gracias,
members
señora
wishing
Han.
to be
¿Alguien
heard
más
on
desea
this
su
item?
prestación sobre este asunto?
Seeing none,
Ni uno.
let's open the roll,
Ábrase voto.
close the roll,
Cierre ese
and
voto.
tabulate the
Y
vote.
tablece conteo. 12 sí.
That is approved.
Ha sido aprobado.
item, please.
Procedamos, por favor.
Item number
Asunto número
17, call
17,
special by
propuesta especial por la
Councilmember Perry.
concejala Perry.
Ms. Perry.
Señora Perry.
Mr. President,
Señor
can we hold that
presidente,
item on the desk for just
quiero
a minute?
mantener
We're doing a
pendiente este
revision on the
asunto. Un
motion
momento,
and
estamos
just need a little bit of time, about
haciendo
5,
correcciones
10
de la
minutes.
moción, necesitamos un
Okay,
poquito más
let's
de
hold this item
tiempo.
on the
Sí,
desk
ese será
as we wait an amending motion by Ms. Perry.
mantendremos mientras esperamos
Let's
un
proceed to the next
cambio de
item,
una moción de la
please.
señora Perry.
Item number
Pasamos al
19 was
número
called
19,
special by
especial por el
Councilmember Cardenas.
concejal Cárdenas.
Mr. Cardenas.
Señor Cárdenas.
Item 19.
Asunto 19.
Can we hold that for a little bit?
Again, let's
Puede
hold this
mantenerlo
item on the
pendiente
desk.
también, sí, se
Folks, we
mantendrá
have a
pendiente.
handful of items
Tenemos unos
called special
bastantes
and a
asuntos
special agenda
que
that we cannot
tenemos
get
una
to until
agenda especial que no
12:15.
podremos
Next
considerar
item,
hasta las
please.
12:15. Procedamos por el
number
asunto
22,
número
called
22,
special by
que es presentada
Councilmember
por
Perry.
la concejala Perry.
Ms. Perry.
Señora Perry.
Item 22.
Asunto 22.
I needed to continue that item
Quiero
until
aplazar
September
este
the
asunto hasta el
16th.
16 de
We're going to be
septiembre.
having several public hearings,
Otras
and we're in
diferencias
the process
públicas
of
y
setting
estamos en
those up.
proceso de
Colleagues request to
fijar fechas
continue
para
item
los colegas
22 to
petición para
September
aplazar
16th,
asunto
30 days from today.
22 al 16 de
Is there any
septiembre, desde
objection?
no haya protesta.
Seeing no objection, item
Protesta.
22
Asunto
is
22 será
continued.
aplazado.
Next item, please.
Procedamos, por favor.
Mr. President, I believe
El presidente
21 was
creyó que
also
21
called
también
special
fue
by Mr.
especial por el
Labange.
señor Labange.
Mr.
Señor
Labange.
Labange.
Mr. Labange. Did you call item 21
Labange,
special?
puso este asunto 21 como
Let's hear
especial.
from you now, please.
This is a tremendous special item.
Un
Amelia
asunto
Earhart,
especial tremendo.
one of the greatest
Amelia
Americans
Earhart,
of
una
all
de las mejores
time, who
americanas de
lived
todo
in the
el mundo, que
Toluca Lake
vivió en el
area,
área de Toluca Lake.
where right now there's a beautiful
Ahorita
bronze
hay
statue with the
una
help of
estatua de
the
bronce
North
con la
Hollywood
ayuda
Community Redevelopment Agencies
de la
being
Agencia de
rebronzed,
Desarrollamiento de North Hollywood
cleaned,
está siendo
and going to be
limpiada y va
rededicated on
a
the
ser
corner of North
se
Hollywood Park and
dedicará en la esquina
Magnolia
de North
Tahunga,
Hollywood Park en
next to the
Magnolia
North
Tahunga al
Hollywood
lado
Regional
de
Branch Library,
la
which is named
biblioteca
after Amelia
regional,
Earhart.
la
So
cual
as
ha sido
councilman of the
nombrada
district, I
tras
thought
el
it was
nombre
extremely
de
important
Amelia Earhart
that
como
we take it a
concejal de
further
distrito.
step, that we
Creo que
make
es
this
sumamente
intersection
importante.
the
Quiero que
Amelia
esta
Earhart Square.
Boca Calle sea
Because I
llamada
think what
la
is great when
lugar de Amelia
we do reflect
Earhart,
on
porque
others,
es
when we
muy
do
lindo
reflect on
cuando
the names of the various
reflejamos
squares
nosotros y los
in
nombres
the
de
city of
diferentes
Los Angeles
calles
or
en la
even
ciudad de
our
Los
street
Ángeles o
names, and
nuestras
it
calles.
does trick in someone's mind
Sí,
an image of who
alguien en
that
la
person
mente
was
alguien
and what they
piensa
stood
sobre esa
for.
persona
Amelia Earhart was
y
one of
de
the
su
greatest
liderazgo. Amelia
Americans of
Earhart es uno
all
de los
time,
mejores
a
americanos
great
de todo el
aviator,
mundo,
a
una
great
gran
pioneer, a wonderful woman.
avionista, un
So
gran
I just
pionero,
ask
una
all
gran
members
mujer.
to
Cuanto
stand
pido
and
que
join
todos
with me
me
in
acompañen
calling this intersection
para que
Amelia
esta Boca
Earhart
Calle sea
Square.
nombrada
And
Amelia Earhart
appropriately,
y
our fine
adecuadamente
Department of
nuestro departamento de
Transportation sign shop will
transportación,
make the wonderful
Sign
signs
Shop,
that they make that will be installed in the fall when we rededicate the statue on that same corner, which will be then known as Amelia Earhart Square. I thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Labange. Other members wishing to be heard on this item?
Gracias, señor Labange. ¿Alguien más?
Seeing none,
Nadie.
Madam Clerk, please open the
Aceptamos
roll
su
on
palabra.
item
Se vota sobre
21.
el asunto 21.
Please close
Cierre
the
ese
roll
voto
and
y
tabulate
tabule
the
ese
vote.
conteo. 12 sís.
That is
Ha
approved.
sido aprobado.
Next item, please.
Item number
Asunto
126 was called special in as much as there are cards from the public and an ordinance has been prepared by the city attorney and
La
distributed to the
Fiscalía, la
council members.
Procuraduría Municipal ha preparado una ordenanza y distribuido a los concejales. Tenemos la tarjeta del público para comentar al público. El señor Jim McQuestion, pase.
Jim McQuiston, East Hollywood Community Association. I rise in support of this. Of course, one comment I did want to make on this is that when you're making changes to ordinances now, although it's been customary in the past just to put the changes in, now we have neighborhood councils who have to look through this and figure out whether they want to support them or not. It's very difficult when you just have the changes in the ordinance, and I've suggested to the city attorney that they engross these rather than just put in the changes so that we don't discourage people from neighborhood councils who haven't had the training that other people have had, that they can understand what's going on.
Thank you, Mr. McQuiston. This concludes public comment on item 26. Are there members wishing to be heard on item 26? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Colleagues, that is an ordinance with 12 unanimous votes on first reading. Next item, please.
Item number 58 was called special by Councilmember Hahn.
Ms. Hahn, item 58, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. I wanted to call this special because I feel like this is one of those great projects that we all are hoping to have accomplished, hoping to do in our district. This is a housing authority public project, housing project in Wilmington called Dana Strand. And part of my goal for the housing projects in Los Angeles is ultimately to move people from post-World War II temporary public housing into real home ownership. We've had success with that in one area in Harbor City called Harbor Village, and it's actually turned into a beautiful home ownership opportunity for these people. The part of it is you have to apply for HUD grants to demolish it, and then you have to apply for more money to rebuild it. But in this instance, we actually applied for and received money to demolish this old housing authority public housing project in Wilmington, and we're going to replace it with a community. Several of us joined the mayor last year and went down to San Diego and saw City Heights, which was a community in San Diego that did just that. It took housing, it took a library, an elementary school, a park, a police station, and located them all within one area to build a community that has transformed the area in San Diego. We're going to do something similar, and we have a memorandum of understanding with LAUSD and with Better Schools, Better Neighborhoods, which will allow us to use this space jointly. It's going to be a joint use agreement where we will have housing, which will be both rental and will be for sale housing. We're going to have a senior housing component. We're going to have a lifelong learning center. We're going to have an early childhood education center, a Port Police substation, and an acre of open space. And I knew that this would go through today. I can't imagine any of you not supporting us on moving forward this, but it's always a good opportunity to talk about how we're going to use our land in Los Angeles in the future. And frankly, we're running out of land. We can't build the kind of elementary schools that we all grew up in. And this is an opportunity to locate next to an elementary school a community where senior citizens will be able to enjoy the lifelong learning center and may also be involved in after-school mentoring program with the elementary school. It's going to be a beautiful community in Wilmington, and as it moves forward, I invite you all to pay attention to it and look for those kind of opportunities in your district as well. This will mean a complete transformation, not only of a neighborhood, but of lives in Wilmington. So I think it's a great project. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hahn. No one else wishing to speak? This matter is now before
Este
us.
asunto ahora está pendiente. Gracias,
Open the roll.
concejala Hahn. Abra ese voto.
Close the roll.
Cierre su voto. Y
Tabulate the
tabule ese
vote.
conteo.
12 ayes.
12 sís.
That is approved.
Ha sido aprobado.
Next item.
Procedamos.
Next item, Madam President. Item number
Señor Presidente,
17 was
17
being
fue-
held on the desk, and there is a
Está
substitute motion that
quedó
has been
pendiente y una
distributed to the
moción
council
suplente que ha
members.
sido distribuido al resto de los
Item
concejales. Asunto
17 is now
17 ahora
before
está
us,
and I believe that was
pendiente.
called
Pido que
special by
sea
Councilmember
especial por la
Perry.
concejala Perry.
Councilmember
Concejala
Perry.
Perry.
Does she want to speak on that? All right. Chair recognizes Councilmember
Concejala
Perry.
Perry.
That's all right. Trying to reclaim my space.
Estoy tratando de...
Yeah, it's my item. Thank you very much, Madam President, and I asked Mr. Miller to come forward to the
Pido al señor
center
Miller que
table
pase a la
to
mesa, al
explain the
centro, para
context of
explicar
this
el contenido de
motion,
esta
and so
moción,
that
para que
people
así las
understand the
personas
status of the
entiendan el
project
estatus de
and
este
the
proyecto,
status of
el
various
estatus de
funding
diferentes
sources, and
fuentes de
that it
donde se
does not
reciban
devolve in a
fondos,
discussion about
y
a
para que
project
esto no
versus gang intervention, because that's not what this is all
habla
about.
acerca de un proyecto en vez de una
Okay,
intervención de
in a
pandillas,
nutshell,
porque
what
no
you
se
have
trata de
before
esto.
you is
En
$2.5 million
sumario que
worth
tiene
of
pendientes,
allocations
$2.5 de
for two issues, LA
asignaciones
Bridges
por
and
dos
also the
asuntos.
Santee Court
LA
project. The
Bridges y el
council had
Santee
previously
Court
allocated $1.5 million
project. El
for
consejo
Santee Court.
había asignado 1.5
For a
millones
variety of
para
reasons,
Santee Court por
money
diferentes
was
razones, asuntos.
overcommitted. So we had an issue of having that project not have
Este dinero
sufficient
fue
funding. Now,
asignado y
the $1.5 million for Santee Court is only a portion of the entire project, and they're going to need to get a loan for the balance of it. So it's very important that Santee Court has the entire allocation so they can go to the lenders and get a loan for the balance. So we were asked to report back on potential funding sources for both. Ms. Perry's motion before you recommends changes in the allocation. What it proposes is $1.5 million from the balance of the $2 million in the produce mart be allocated today for Santee Court. We've also, to date, identified $725,000 for the LA Bridges program, and this motion recommends that that be allocated as well. And then what we recommend the council do is instruct LA Bridges to CDD and with LA Bridges to report back on programming the $4 million, and we will come back to you then with the $275,000 balance. There are several sources we've already identified. There's community services block grant money that would be available. There is a report that is in Mr. Garcetti's committee that will be heard immediately after the break. There is the year 30 CDBG reprogramming allocation that is another potential source of funding. So there are funding sources out there, and when LA Bridges comes back with their program in September, we'll have recommendations of allocating the balance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller, and I wanted to highlight this fact because at the present time, CDD is spending $2.8 million on gang intervention programs, and with this additional money, we'll take it to 3.8, and I wanted to clarify this because I want to make sure that this is not a one project versus gang intervention, and that there is money in the pipeline for both from various sources. And furthermore, needed to highlight the fact that the Santee Court project, which I shared with my colleague in the 14th, is workforce affordable housing, another one of our significant goals, already under construction. And this money was already allocated for that, and we just need to get to the process and finish this and work just as aggressively on making sure that we fund for our gang intervention bridges too.
And one more thing, the city attorney asked for some clarification on the controller instructions. The $2 million allocation is contingent on the sale and closing of the produce mart, which is expected to happen any time, but they wanted to make it clear that it was contingent on the closing of escrow.
Thank you. Ms. Perry, are you completed?
Señora Perry, ¿ha terminado?
Let me recognize Mr. Cardenas.
Señor Cárdenas.
Thank you, Madam
Muchas
Chair.
gracias, señora
I just wanted to
Presidente.
take a moment to thank
tomar un momento para dar las
my
gracias
colleague,
a mi
Ms.
colega,
Perry,
la señora Perry,
for her diligence
por
in
su
making sure
diligencia
that we
para
were able
asegurar que
to cover these two major issues. One is a physical
pudiéramos
project
cubrir esos asuntos. Uno es
when you're
el
talking about
proyecto
bricks and
difícil cuando
mortar,
hablamos acerca
and it
de
goes beyond that.
ladrillos.
It's about housing and
Es más
important
allá,
things
es
to
acerca
that
de
part of Los Angeles
viviendas
and all
y
of Los
cosas
Angeles.
importantes
Yet at the
para
same
Los Ángeles
time,
y todos los actores. Al
knowing
mismo
that
tiempo,
funds are
sabiendo
tight
que
and knowing that we're
hay
trying
poco
to
dinero
tackle
y
that
sabiendo que
issue
estamos
and the
tratando
issue
de
of
mejorar
gangs
este
and the
asunto, el
issue
asunto de
of youth
pandillas, el
violence and
asunto de
those
violencia
kinds of issues as
entre los
well.
jóvenes. Este
It
tipo de
looks as though
asuntos
we've
también
been able
parece
to
que hemos
craft something
podido
here with a lot of
realizarlo aquí
cooperation,
con
a lot
muchísima
of
cooperación,
thoughtfulness,
mucho
and not fighting,
pensar,
not
sin
bickering, but just saying
pelear,
we have
sin
goals, we have
estar en desacuerdo, pero
missions,
si
we
no
have
tenemos metas, tenemos
responsibilities,
misiones,
and I
tenemos
think this is a
responsabilidades. Y
very
creo que esto es
responsible motion,
una moción
and
muy,
I
muy
just want to thank
responsable. Y
Ms.
quiero dar
Perry
las gracias a la señora Perry
for
por
working the way she has
trabajar la
on
manera
this
que
issue,
ha
and for the
hecho en
mayor's
este asunto
office
y en la oficina de la
cooperating with
alcaldía
us and
por su
understanding these
cooperación
are
y por entender
priorities
que
from
esas
the
son
mayor's
prioridades
office, Ms. Perry,
para
Mr.
el alcalde, el
Villaraigosa,
presidente
all of us.
Perry
I
Villaraigosa,
just
para
wanted to
nosotros.
say this
Quiero
is a
decir que
perfect
esto es un
example
ejemplo
how even in the
perfecto
toughest
ahí de
times we can
que
work
aunque en los momentos
together
más
and
difíciles
figure
podemos
out
trabajar
ways to
juntos
make
y
sure we cover
encontrar
the kinds
maneras
of
para
things that are
asegurar
priority to
cubrir el
Angelinos,
tipo
and that's our
de
job, and I think
asuntos
this
que
is a
son
perfect
prioridades para
example of
los
that.
miembros
So
de
thank you.
nuestro trabajo y creo que ese es un gran ejemplo de esto. Gracias,
Villaraigosa.
señor Villaraigosa.
I too want to
También me
commend
quiero
council
poner de pie para
members
felicitar
Cardenas and
al
Perry
concejal
for their
Cárdenas y a la
work
concejala
in
Perry
trying
por
to
su
resolve
trabajo
the
para tratar de
situation
solucionar esta
in a city
situación en una
where
ciudad donde
money doesn't fall from
dinero
the trees, where
no cae
we
de los
have
árboles, donde tenemos
a deficit. It's important that we try
pérdida de
to
dinero.
use our
Es
resources
importante tratar de utilizar
wisely, and I
nuestros
think
recursos de
we've been
manera
able to resolve this
sabia y
in a way
creo que
that
hemos podido
both benefits LA
resolver
Bridges
esto de
and
ambas maneras que
allows us to
beneficia al programa de
complete
LA
Santee Court.
Bridges y
So
también
thank you to
completar
both
Sandy Court. Gracias a
Councilmembers
ambos
Cardenas and
concejales
Perry.
Cárdenas y la señora Perry.
Thank you, members. We
Muchas gracias,
have
miembros.
the
Tenemos
item as amended.
asunto con estos
Let's
cambios.
first
Primero,
adopt the amendment that's before
tenemos
us.
que adoptar el cambio pendiente al
Councilmember
concejal Parks.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Muchas
I
gracias,
just
señor
want
presidente.
to,
Quiero
on item
hablar sobre
Item
asunto
17 is just to
17.
just reiterate on that
reiterar.
remaining money that we're looking
Este
for,
dinero
that
que
we
queda, el
will
dinero
have
que
some
aún tenemos
assurances
que
and be reporting back
encontrar,
to
el
the
dinero que
council
falta, quiero asegurar que nos dé un reporte al Consejo
future
Municipal
time
en
as
el
to where that
futuro
money's
en
coming from,
cuanto a
because
de dónde
our intent was to ensure that we
resultará
put
ese
a net
dinero. Quiero
increase of $1
asegurar que
billion
pongamos
into
un
the
aumento
gang
neto
program. So that's the only assurances I'm looking
a
for that we
es
can
la cantidad que
look
queda
for in the
pronto.
near future to
Quiero asegurar que
get
ese
that
sea
remaining
un
275.
reporte que
Yes, on
nos diga
item
que
number 4 of
vamos
the motion,
a
it's the
conseguir los
instruction
275 sin esta
to
moción, la
report back on the
instrucción de
programming
dar
of the
un
$1 million,
reporte nuevo,
and we will have at that time the
un
funding
reporte de
sources
los
and the
millones. En
actions
ese
for the
momento
remaining
tenemos las
balance.
fuentes
And see, was the
de
CBD
las
is going
compañías que
to
han
be
prestado
involved in
nuestro
the
dinero.
reprogramming, or is
CDS
that
va a estar
strictly with
involucrado
CLA?
en la programación
No,
solamente
CDD
con
will come back to
CLA,
you
no,
with LA
CDD regresa con
Bridges
ustedes con
on how that
el proyecto
million
de
will
LA
be programmed,
Bridges
where the
y dirán
contracts, et
cómo
cetera,
este billón será
and then we will
programado,
have
los
your funding
contratos,
sources
etcétera.
and
Y después
actions
le
for the
daremos
275.
los, las fuentes de los prestamistas.
Thank you. We now have the item before us as amended.
También como un reporte.
Let's
Gracias.
open the roll
Tenemos los
first on the amendment.
asuntos con estos cambios. Primero se reporte con este,
Close the
sobre este
roll.
cambio. Cierre ese voto.
Tabulate the
Tabúlese
vote.
conteo. 12 sí.
All right, now let's vote on the
Ahora hay que
item
votar
as
en el
amended.
asunto con ese
Open
cambio.
the roll.
Abra ese voto.
Close the
Cierre ese
roll.
voto. Y
Tabulate the
tabúlese
vote.
conteo. 12 sí.
That matter is approved. Next item.
Madam President, item number 19 is still on the desk, and that was called special by Councilmember Cardenas.
Councilmember Cardenas.
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to open it up for public comment, even though it has been heard in committee.
All right, we have a motion for a limited comment period. We
Moción
have
para
4
un
cards that are
plazo
submitted.
para
If there are
poder
no
crear una
objections,
presentación
we will go ahead
para
and
reunión.
reopen the public hearing.
Reabriremos la audiencia
Let me
pública.
call forward
Quiero
at this
llamar
time
ahora
those
a
who submitted
los
cards
que
on this
presentaron
matter.
tarjetas sobre este
Mr. Jim
asunto. Señor Jim
McQuiston,
McQuiston,
Angela Sousa,
Kimberly West Falcon
and Manhari Chawla.
y Manhari Charla.
Please come
Pasen,
forward.
por favor.
Address the council on this
Abrir con el
matter.
Consejo Municipal sobre este asunto.
Jim McQuiston, East Hollywood Community Association. I rise in support of the proposal. I do want to say, though, that we're at cross purposes in this city because we're also identifying ghettos in the city. And as you know, I've spoken to you many times on this subject, and I don't think that's a good idea. And the state may come back, or the people may come back and say, well, how can you be in favor of defeating this when you're in favor of making up some ghettos in the city? So I do want you to think about that.
Good morning, council members. My name is Angela Souza. I'm an attorney, and I also hold a degree in city planning. The reason that I wanted to address you on this is that although both of those things are true, I think that the first thing that anyone would notice about me is that I have a brown face and that I'm a woman. It is unfortunate that in this day and age, in many places, that is still the first and only thing that a lot of people will pay attention to about me. That is why I oppose the Ward Connerly initiative. I want to urge you and support this proposal because I do not know how a city can provide adequate services to all of its citizens, how we as lawyers can be sure that consent decrees are complied with, how we provide the evidence to make sure that our laws are complied with, unless we are able to have the kind of statistics and evidence that is needed in asking people what their racial background is. I further want to say that if Mr. Connerly or anyone else is offended by being asked what their background is, they can always choose to decline to state. But for those of us who think that this is an important issue, we want that information to you and to the public and to the doctors and to the government and to all of our representatives to make sure that all of our citizens are provided with adequate and proper services. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I am Kimberly West Falcon. I am Director of the Western Regional Office of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And I want to first commend the City Council for taking this issue up this morning. I am here to say that the Legal Defense Fund opposes Proposition 54 because it is an unnecessary, wasteful, and dangerous attempt to amend the California Constitution. This ballot measure has nothing to do with racial privacy. The proponents are just trying to put a catchy title on a very bad idea. This idea is so bad that you've got anti-affirmative action Tom Woods, who brought us Prop 209, siding with civil rights attorneys like me. That is how bad Prop 54 is for California. As a civil rights attorney, I know that some laws can damage lives. We cannot let Prop 54 endanger the lives of Californians. This initiative is so poorly written, it will do the exact opposite of what you're being told it will do. It will not lead to a colorblind society, and it does not make exceptions for important information we need for health care, public safety, education, and civil rights enforcement. Even with these so-called exceptions, this initiative basically makes it unconstitutional to gather data that tells us that white women suffer from breast cancer at a higher rate than any other women, or that African Americans die from heart disease at a higher rate. It makes no sense to outlaw information that saves lives, just like we do not need to outlaw information that protects us from hate crimes, racial profiling, and employment discrimination.
Okay.
The healthcare professionals, and there are a cadre of them that have taken a position against Prop 54. We've got the California Medical Association, the American Pediatric Association, the American Cancer Society. I could go on and on. Basically, we have healthcare professionals telling you this will endanger the health of Californians of all races. LDF is committed to equal justice for all for people of all races. As a civil rights attorney with LDF, I have never represented just African Americans in my cases. I have always represented a multiracial class, African Americans, Latinos, Asian Americans, and whites. So I'm here to say, not just as a civil rights attorney, that this will endanger the civil rights of Californians of all races. I'm here to say that this will endanger their health. And I think that's a very important message, and a message that should resonate with all Californians, regardless of their race. So I'm here to say that LDF opposes this, and to ask this council to oppose it as well. Prop 54 does not make us colorblind. It simply puts us in the dark. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Manji Challa. I'm here with the Asian Pacific American Legal Center. The Legal Center, joined by many others today, encourages the City Council to pass the motion before us and to oppose Proposition 54. Proposition 54 damages our ability to address disparities by race, ethnicity, in healthcare, education, hate crimes, and discrimination. Ward Connerly, who brings us this dangerous initiative, has stated that he is counting on Asian Americans to support Proposition 54. Mr. Connerly, however, is going to have to look elsewhere for support. Asian American community groups, businesses, elected leaders, doctors, teachers throughout California have come out very strongly against Proposition 54. We recognize that this initiative is dangerous to our health. You are going to be hearing about healthcare exemptions, and I'd like to explain that really briefly. The healthcare exemption states that patients and medical research subjects are exempted, so that if you enter into a formal research study or if you go into your doctor, your race can still be counted. But this does not account for the vast amount of data that is gathered through public healthcare surveys and by public research universities that does not fit into this narrow exemption. For instance, UCLA Medical Center came out with a research study 2 years ago with some of the most comprehensive data that we have had on healthcare. And this type of research is used by healthcare providers throughout the state. If this initiative passes, that kind of study will be gone from the state of California. We will no longer know that Asian Americans have the highest rates of hepatitis B or that cancer is a leading cause of death in this community. And that's the kind of data that is not going to be covered by this exemption. Proposition 54 also hinders hate crime prevention. Fighting hate crimes is central to the Legal Center's work. Currently, the LA County Human Relations Commission gathers this data and then publishes in reports that are crucial to the kind of work that we do. If this initiative passes, counties such as Los Angeles County will no longer be able to gather hate crime data, and it will prevent us from addressing this problem. Proposition 54 will directly hurt all communities, including the Asian American community, and that is why we urge the City Council to stand up strongly against Proposition 54.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment on this item. Okay, those are all the speaker cards. If you wish to hand a card to the guard.
I did not fill out a speaker card, Mr. President, but I would greatly appreciate the courtesy of speaking on this
I'll give you a minute here, and if you can give a speaker card to the guard as well.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Daniel Wiseman, a practicing pediatrician of 40 years experience. And when you just heard about the diseases that are not going to be known. The issue, I think, is clear. We physicians must know ethnicity, cultural background, social factors that are extraordinarily important to the management of our patients. You legislators must know those same features in order to make legislation which is responsive to the community needs. Public health issues cannot be served without this information. And I would, again, as the previous speaker, strongly encourage you to oppose Proposition 54 on medical, scientific, as well as legislative basis. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much. This concludes public comment on this item. Chair recognizes Councilmember Cardenas.
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
It's with
Es con
great respect to the community of Los
respeto a la
Angeles and with
comunidad de Los Ángeles y
responsibility
con
that
responsabilidad
myself and
que yo
Bernard
mismo y
Parks
Bernard
have
Parks
co-authored this
hemos
motion along with the
escrito
strong
esta
support of
moción
our
junto con
colleagues
el apoyo
here in the
fuerte
city
de
of
nuestros
Los
colegas
Angeles
aquí en la ciudad de Los
because the
Ángeles
Connerly
porque
Information
la
Ban, because that's what
información
it
de
is, an
Connerly,
information
esto es
ban,
una
is a motion,
expresión de
or excuse me,
información,
it's a
es una
proposition
proposición
that opposes
que
progress
está
for the state of
opuesto,
California.
se opone a
As was
progreso del
stated
Estado de
and
California, como se
articulated very well by
mencionó,
members of the public just a
articulado
few
muy
minutes
bien por
ago,
miembros del público hace
this
poco,
would, in
esto,
effect,
por
hinder our
efecto,
ability to
dañaría
do
nuestra
proper
habilidad
research that
de llevar a
affects
cabo
everyone of
investigación
every
adecuada que
color
afecta a
in this
todos de
great
todos
state.
colores
But
de
worse
este gran
than
estado,
that,
pero peor que
California
eso,
is
California es
by
conocido
its
por su
institutions and its research
institución
medically and in many
y
fields to
su
be a leader
investigación
throughout
médica
the
en muchos
world.
campos,
We
en
will
un
be
líder en el
hindering
mundo,
some of the best
dañaremos
minds,
las
some of the
mejores
best
mentes,
abilities,
las mejores
some of the best
habilidades, la
infrastructures
mejor
to fight
infraestructura
cancer,
para
to
luchar
fight
contra
the
cáncer,
kinds
contra
of
luchar
illnesses that we
contra
all
los
dream to
tipos
see
de
that someday we
enfermedades
can
que todos
eradicate.
soñamos que algún día
This would
puedan ser
actually hinder
borrados.
those
Esto
things.
dañará
This
estas cosas. Esta
proposition,
proposición,
unfortunately, is in
desafortunadamente,
fact
por hecho,
being proposed by
está siendo
someone
propuesta por
who
alguien
is looking
que
at
está
for personal gain
considerando
and
esto
personal
para
reasons to make a name for himself.
ganancias
He's already
personales y
bragged about
razones
the fact that if he can get this
personales
done in California,
para
he's going to try to
poner su nombre en
move like
su nombre en un
wildfire
lugar
across
muy
the entire
elevado.
country
Él ya ha
with this
presumido que si
bad
esto puede pasar a través
idea
de California,
about public interest.
será
Let me give you an
presentado en
example of some of the
otros
things that Warren
lugares del país.
Connerly
Quiero
actually
darles
said that was quoted
ejemplos
in the
que
papers.
Warren Connor
And it says, in recent telephone interview, he said that he
dijo en
was
una
tired of
entrevista,
seeing
dijo que ella estaba cansado de ver
Mexican-Americans and Mexican
mexicoamericanos y
immigrants
inmigrantes
characterize
mexicanos
themselves
que sean
as
categorizados como
underprivileged minorities. For example,
minoridades
he goes on to say, and I
desprivilegiadas.
quote,
También
"They
dice, y
don't want to
cito,
see
ellos no
those
quieren ver
categories
estas
go.
categorías
They can take
desaparecer,
advantage
ellos
of
pueden
them.
tomar
They
ventajas
want
de
to
estos,
claim
quieren
minority status.
decir
They
que
will
tienen
soon be a
estatus de
majority in
minoridad, muy
California.
pronto van a ser
They
una
want to
mayoría en
hide
California.
behind the
Quieren
item,
esconderse tras
the
el
term
asunto,
Latino.
la palabra
I hope
latinos.
that gone is
Espero
the
que
day that
el
people
día
as
desaparezca cuando
intelligent or as
personas
degreed as Warren
con
Connerly might be,
tan inteligentes y
that
con
the
tantos
ignorance
estilos
of
de
those
Will
kinds of
Carner, que
statements
la
by
ignorancia de
referring
estos
to
tipos de
people
declaraciones
as
refiriéndose a
they,
personas como
that those
ellos,
days
que
would
esos
go
días
away.
desaparezcan.
As a child, I had
Como yo era niño, cuando yo era niño
interpret for
tuve
my
que
mother and
interpretar,
father.
tenía que interpretar para
And
mi
it is
madre y mi
only
padre,
now that I
solamente es ahora
realize
que me doy
the kinds
cuenta
of things
los
that I
tipos
had
de
to
cosas que yo
ignore,
tuve
the
que
racism
ignorar, el
that was pushed
racismo que
upon them in their
se
ignorance of understanding English.
usaban
They
contra las
didn't even
personas gracias a
understand
no
that a
tener
person
inglés,
standing
no
3 feet
entendían que
away
hay
from them
personas paradas 3
was
pies de
insulting
ellos
them
estaban
because of the color
insultándolos
of their
por el
skin
color de
and the
su
fact that they
piel y
couldn't
por el
speak
hecho que no
English.
podían hablar
It
inglés.
wasn't until later
No
on
fue
in
hasta
life that I
después en
even
vida que yo
realized
me di
that
cuenta
I
que
myself
yo
was
mismo
ignoring those comments
ignoraba
because
esos
I
comentarios porque
understood
yo
them.
los
I don't
entendía.
care
Yo
how
no me interesa qué tan
intelligent or how degreed an
inteligente o
individual
cuántos
might
títulos
think
tiene un
they are.
individuo o qué
By
educado es
pushing
un
a
individuo piensa que
proposition like this is
está apoyando
about
una persona como
blindness.
esto. Eso
It has
se
nothing to
trata
do with color
con ceguera,
blindness.
no tiene
It's
que
about
van a ver con
blindness. It's
ceguera de
about not
colores,
seeing
es que
reality
ceguera
that
es
we are
no ver
human
realidad, que
beings
somos
and that we
seres
are
humanos y que
flawed. And some
tenemos
people
fallas y
just
ciertas
do
personas
not want to
solamente
give up the
no
fact
quieren
that we
renunciar al
will
hecho
move
de que
forward.
sí
We
proceden.
will be a unified
Veremos
society
que
when
vamos a ser
people
una
start
sociedad
talking about people
unida
as
cuando personas
they
hablen de personas
and
como
those
ellos
people.
y esas
And that's what
personas
this
y
proposition
de
is
eso se trata
about.
esta
And worse
proposición
than that,
y
it's
peor
going
que
to
eso
hinder our
va a
ability
dañar nuestra
to make
habilidad
every
de
person in
hacer que todas las
society
personas en
healthier,
sociedad que
and
sea más
better off
saludable
by
y
hindering
mejor,
simple things like
dañando
healthcare
ciertas
for
cosas
everyone
sencillas como
and
salud para
research
todos y
that will eradicate the
investigación que
kinds of
borrará el
diseases
tipo de
that we all
enfermedades
want
que
to see
todos
go away
queremos
in our
que
lifetime.
desaparezcan
We
en
need to
nuestra vida.
oppose this,
Necesitamos
and this is
oponernos a
what
esto
this
y
motion is
de
about.
eso se trata
It's
esta
about
moción. Se trata
opposition
acerca de
to that kind of
oposición a este
ignorance,
tipo de ignorancia,
opposition to the
oposición a
reality
la
that
realidad
California is a
que
wonderful
California
place,
es un
a
lugar
diverse
lindísimo, un
place,
lugar
and things
diverso
need to
y
go on in this state
cosas
out
tienen que
of
ocurrir en este
information,
estado
not out of ignorance.
Thank you.
por resultado de
Mr.
información, por
Villaraigosa.
ignorancia. Gracias, señor Villaraigosa.
Members, Mr. President, I rise today proud to be an American, proud to be in a country where we're judged not by the color of our skin or our accent or where we come from, but by the content of our character. We know that America hasn't always been that kind of place. In the 1960s, people died to fight for a Civil Rights Act. And I dare say that many of us, you, Mr. President, the women here, myself, are all here today because there was a Civil Rights Act, because there was a Martin Luther King, because people died for our right to be here. Members, this is a very, very important issue. This is an issue that in many ways is along the lines of Proposition 187 and 209, 227. It attempts to divide on the head of a pin all the things that make us different.
Todo lo que nos diferencia en este estado, el estado de oro, el estado donde provimos de todas las esquinas del mundo, debemos enfatizar lo que tenemos en común. Esta iniciativa ignora nuestros esfuerzos de proteger los avances de los últimos varios años. Quiero darles varios ejemplos. Miembros,
at the University of
en la Universidad de
California,
California,
since Proposition
desde
209,
Proposición 209, no podemos con esta iniciativa decidir si sí o no Proposición 209 está trabajando, si sí o no. Por hecho, la Universidad de California está prohibiendo el acceso a afroamericanos y a latinos. Sabemos que después de Proposición 209, hubo un afroamericano en la Escuela de Leyes de la Universidad de California, la Universidad de Mississippi, al mismo tiempo habían 27. Esto es una estadística bastante sorprendente en este estado de oro. También sabemos que en esta ciudad tenemos el índice de tuberculosis más elevado de cualquier ciudad de la nación. No podemos decidir qué grupo étnico, y son latinos que son una gran parte de esta tasa de tuberculosis, no podemos decidir por qué. No podemos hacer nada en cuanto a desarrollar estrategias para mejorar esto. No podemos desarrollar estrategias para hablar del hecho de que mujeres blancas tienen los incidentes más elevados de cáncer del seno, que mujeres afroamericanas mueren a tasas más elevadas de cáncer de seno si esta iniciativa pasa. Tenemos que unirnos como un Estado, tenemos que tratar con los retos tan difíciles que nos enfrentan como Estado, este tipo de medidas que nos dividen, que excluyen nuestra habilidad para borrar discriminación, para disfrutar el estado de oro que es California. Yo les pido que apoyen esta moción.
Mr. Reyes.
Señor Reyes.
Thank you, Councilman
Gracias,
Padilla.
concejal Padilla.
As a student in urban planning, I was doing my
Yo
research and I
estuve
looked
haciendo
into
mi investigación y
the various
consideré las
decisions that were
diferentes
made
decisiones
in
que se
these
hicieron
halls
en estos
and how the city should evolve.
salones y
I
cómo
was looking
debería
at
de
how we were
crecer
dealing
en
with
una
the
ciudad.
problems that were
Estaba
associated
mirando
to
cómo debemos
the
tratar con los
floods
problemas
along the
asociados
river.
con las inundaciones
What caught my
al
eye was a
lado del
dialogue
río.
in
Lo
the
que
council
me
then,
llamó la atención fue el
made
diálogo
up
con el
of all
Consejo
white
Municipal,
males.
entonces que era puro
And they would
hombre
refer to
blanco,
communities,
y hablaban sobre
not
comunidades,
as
no
a
como
community
una
of
comunidad
the city,
de la
but
ciudad,
as
sino como
communities of
comunidades de
problems.
problemas.
We have the Mexican
Tenemos
problem over
el
there.
problema mexicano
We have the
allá,
Chinese
tenemos el
problem
problema
over here.
chino allá,
We have the African
tenemos
American,
el problema
they
de
call it then the
afroamericanos,
Negro problem.
el problema de los
This is now
negros, así le llamaban.
dialogues of
Estos son
the 30s and 40s.
diálogos de los 30s y los 40s.
So this
Por lo tanto,
community,
esta comunidad,
these communities were
estas
perceived as problems,
comunidades
and there was a mindset
eran conocidas
that
como problemas,
dominated
y esta era
how
la mente
resources
que
were
decidía
allocated,
la manera que
how the
se
city would
asignaban los
evolve.
recursos y cómo iba a
And there
crecer
were a
la
lot of
ciudad. Y
numbers
había
taken
muchísimos
then
nombres
as
que
to who we
se
were
consideraban
talking
entonces
about.
acerca de a
Well, that
quién
mindset
nos
cannot
referimos. Pero
prevail.
esta mentalidad no
This
puede
kind
continuar.
of
Este tipo
policy,
de
this kind
póliza,
of
este tipo de acción
taken to ban
utilizado
this
para excluir
understanding
este entendimiento
is a
es
throwback to a mindset that
un
devalues
retroceder a
human
la
beings.
mentalidad que le quitaba valor a los
When you
seres
look at the
humanos.
high
Cuando
levels
mira uno
of
el nivel
lung
elevado
diseases
de
on those
enfermedades de
communities that
pulmones
live
en estas
along
comunidades que viven
freeways,
al par de
without
las
that
autopistas, sin
understanding of
este
who's
tipo de
being
entendimiento de
affected,
quién está siendo
how are we gonna
afectado,
know
¿cómo
what
es que
kind of
vamos a
health
saber qué
services we
tipo de
need?
servicios de
How do we know
salud
what kind of
necesitaremos? ¿Cómo
problems
sabremos qué
are
tipo de
associated to the
problemas
young
están asociados
kids
con
that are
los
suffering
jóvenes,
from
los
lung
niños que están
cancer
sufriendo
and
de
what they call
cáncer
these
de
hot
pulmón, y
zones
lo que llaman
along
estas
freeways?
zonas calientes
When you look at
al
the
par de
issues
los
of
autopistas cuando
diabetes
considera el asunto de
and how the
diabetes y
Latino
cómo
community
la
is
comunidad
suffering
latina
a
está
disproportionate
sufriendo
number
a niveles desproporcionados. Necesitamos entender quién está siendo afectado y crear estrategias y mirar los recursos de acuerdo al nivel y severidad del problema. Por lo tanto, esta es una manera de pensar muy mal, es una manera de retroceder. Esto es algo incorrecto, de no poder entender quién es afectado. Hoy no podemos hacer que esto pase en una ciudad internacional, una ciudad que es un meca que conecta a todo el mundo, sabiendo que tenemos una población muy diversa de toda parte del mundo. Necesitamos entender lo que eso significa y apoyando este tipo de esfuerzo hará que regresemos al menos 80 años y nos quitará el sueño de nuestro gran futuro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Gracias,
I want
señor
to thank
presidente.
Mr.
Quiero dar
Cardenas
gracias
for,
al señor
I think
Cárdenas
it was his
porque
second day
yo,
here that he
es su
put that
segundo día
motion
aquí, él
in,
presentó esta
and so
moción
that we were able to
y
solidify the
pudimos
council's
solidificar
position
la
on this
posición
issue.
del Consejo
I also
Municipal
want to
sobre
thank
este
Mrs.
asunto.
Perry
Gracias
for
a la
putting
señora
together
Perry
a
por
news conference just
organizar
recently where many of us participated,
comunicación hace
because I
poco
think it is
donde
important
muchos
that
de nosotros
this city,
participamos. Creo yo que
which
es muy
is the most
importante que esta
diverse
ciudad,
in
que
the
es
world,
la ciudad más
when
diversa
we
en
think
el
about
mundo, cuando
100
hablamos
plus
cerca de
languages spoken
100
in this
idiomas
city,
más
the
y más
second
que se habla en
largest
esta ciudad, la
ethnic
segunda,
groups live in the city other than their home country,
dos
that we
grupos
do stand
étnicos
behind
más
the
grandes viven
need
en
for
esta
having
ciudad
data.
que en todo el país.
We
Por lo
know
tanto,
that in
necesidad
city
de este tipo
government
de
and
información
business,
que en
whether it's
gobierno
private
municipal,
sector or
comercio,
public sector, you cannot
particular o
do business
público, no
today without
podemos
data.
administrar
We need to make sure that we
negocios
know
sin
that we
información.
make
Tenemos que asegurar
decisions
que
as to
las
how
decisiones
things
que
are funded,
hacemos
that that
se
money
lleven
goes into
a cabo
areas where the most need is.
en
You
áreas donde
cannot do that
no
without
hay
knowing
necesidad. No
who
podemos
are
hacer esto
the
sin saber
victims
quiénes
of the
son las
highest rate
víctimas
of AIDS or
de las tasas más
tuberculosis or
elevadas de
cancer,
SIDA, de
or
tuberculosis,
where
de
in a
cáncer,
community that
o
homelessness
donde es la
exists.
comunidad más
We also need to know
que
these
tiene más
issues so
personas
that
indigentes.
we
Tenemos que
can
ver
ensure
estos asuntos
that
para así poder
the money
asegurar
and
que el
the
dinero
programs are
y los
tailor-made.
programas
The worst thing that could
se
happen
hagan
to this
para esas comunidades. Lo peor que puede
city and
ocurrir en
this
esta
state and
ciudad, en
country
este estado y en
is
este
if all
país
of a
es
sudden we
de
just
de
divided
repente
everything
dividimos
equally
todo
and
igual
ignored the true need.
ignoramos la
And so I
necesidad
think
verdadera.
that
Por lo tanto,
it
creo
is
yo que es muy importante
that as we go forward to make
mientras
sure and
procedemos en el
educate the public
futuro,
between now and
asegurar que
October
eduquemos
7th,
al público entre ahora y
that is in their
7
best
de octubre,
interest,
que es
that the state is
para el
collecting this
mejor
data, that
interés
the
que el
county is, and
Estado
so is the
continúe
city, and
colectando
that
la
we should be
información,
looking at
el
how
condado y
it's
la
used
ciudad, y
into the
así
benefit of our
menciona
larger
acerca de cómo
population.
este se
And we should
utiliza para el
not
beneficio de la
take on
población más
a one
grande. No
person's view that
quiero
wants
que
to make us
que tomemos el
colorblind,
punto de
but
vista de una
yet
persona que
ignores
nos
the reality that we do
hace
not
que nos
live in
seguimos
a
al color,
community
pero
or in a
tenemos que saber
city
la realidad que
that
vivimos
is
en una comunidad, en una
colorblind. It is
ciudad que
important to know
queremos
that there are
asegurar que
people
no
in our
vivimos en esta
community that are
comunidad que
affected differently
son ciegos
because
contra
of
color,
where they
pero
live,
tenemos que
who
saber
they
que hay
are,
personas que
what
se
their
sean
ethnic
afectados diferentes por
background is.
donde
And we
viven,
need to make
quiénes
sure
son y
that we address
su
those
historial
issues
étnico.
and
Es muy
those
importante
needs
hablar sobre estos
appropriately.
asuntos y necesidades adecuadamente. Muchas gracias.
Ms. Hahn.
Señora Han.
Thank you, Mr.
Muchas
President.
gracias,
Colleagues,
señor
I rise
presidente. Colegas, me pongo de
in
pie
support
para
of this
apoyar
resolution
esta
in
resolución en
Proposition
contra de
54, and I want
Proposición
to
54.
thank
Quiero dar las gracias
Councilman Cardenas
al
and
concejal
Councilman
Cárdenas,
Parks
al
for
concejal
bringing
Parks
this
por
before us today,
presentar este
that
asunto aquí el día
the
de hoy.
largest city, the
La
largest
ciudad
city,
más
the
grande, la ciudad
international
más grande, la
city
ciudad
in California will
internacional
go on
de
record
California,
opposing
acosarán
this
las actas
very
en
bad
contra de
proposition.
esta
This
proposición
proposition
muy
is
mala. Esta
bad for
proposición es
California.
mala para
And while the
California y
whole
mientras todo el
country,
país,
and I think
y
even
creo
the
yo
whole
que a
world
todo
is
el
watching
mundo está
California right
mirando a
now,
California
they're
ahorita,
watching us
nos están mirando
more because of our
más
recall
por
election.
nuestra elección
We
de
have a child star,
que
a
se está
movie
llevando a
star,
cabo.
a
Tenemos
porn star running for
una
governor.
estrella de pornografía, un actor
Many
y
have
una
likened it to a
estrella
circus. Every
que
day
estrella
the
cuando era
media
niño
picks
está
up some new campaign person
cada
on
día
on a
puede darse
so-called
cuenta que
candidate for
hay un nuevo
governor's
candidato para
team.
gobernador.
It dominates our news.
Domina
But
nuestros
what
medios de
people
comunicación,
don't
pero las
realize
personas no se dan cuenta
is that Proposition
de esta
54
institución es que Proposición 54 tiene
impact
más impacto
on the future of
en el futuro de
California, really,
California,
than almost
en
who
realidad,
is governor of this state for the
más
next
que
3
quién
years.
va a ser gobernador de
ese estado, por los siguientes 2 años. Proposición 54 retrocederá las reformas que hemos logrado en este estado y cosas que creemos, particularmente teniendo que ver con educación, particularmente teniendo que ver con cuidado de salud. Creo yo que los que viven que tienen que saber que no solamente en esta balota tendremos 150 personas postulándose para gobernador de California, pero tenemos una proposición que podría impactar impactar sus vidas. Creo yo sinceramente que si Proposición 54 pasara, podría ser la diferencia entre vida y muerte para muchísimas personas por la inhabilidad de tener el tipo de información que todos necesitamos tocante a salud, asuntos de la salud. Por lo tanto, muchas gracias por presentar esto. Esto tiene que tener visibilidad en la elección del 7 de octubre, tanto con el asunto de destitución. Esto es crítico para nuestro Estado, esto es crítico para los niños y para mujeres y para todo el pueblo de diferentes razas y historia. Gracias por los perdidos que están en las actas. Cuanto a nuestra posición, señor Sánchez, presidente y colegas, me uno a esta oposición. Yo estuve presente en la rueda de comisión con todos mis colegas. Por esta razón, la diversidad es nuestra fuerza. Y si miro yo este documento que tenemos sobre Proposición 54, se informa que sujeto a cambios del tribunal, y siempre y cuando tenemos algo, encontraremos que personas lo retarán, llega al tribunal y entre más y más litigio. Esto puede bajar bajo la categoría de legislación de donde están tratando de excluir oportunidades, están tratando de excluir información, que es muy importante, muy valuable para miembros de nuestra comunidad. Somos una ciudad diversa, somos un estado diverso, somos un país diverso. Y fue interesante previamente en las presentaciones el día de hoy, donde nos dimos cuenta de una mujer coreana que era miembro del militario. Hace años trabajó para la agencia de inteligencia del gobierno estadounidense, y algunas veces nos olvidamos de eso, nos olvidamos de las contribuciones a la sociedad, nos olvidamos acerca de lo que las personas han hecho para ayudar a la comunidad, a nuestra ciudad, del Estado. Me uno a mis colegas para oponerme a la Proposición 54, sea latino, afroamericano, blanco, el caso que sea. Somos una comunidad de justos, somos un estado de justos, y sabemos que la campaña de gobernador Bertole es un circo cuando tenemos legislación. Odio es una gran vergüenza para las personas de sociedad de este estado. Entonces me acompaño con mis distinguidos colegas que han sufrido discriminación en muchos casos. Siendo un miembro de la comunidad del Medio Oriente, yo sé lo que se trata de discriminación, porque he sufrido discriminación de mi vida también. Yo sé que estas estadísticas son importantes. Yo creo que colectar esta información es importante. Si miramos la historia de esta sociedad, se discriminaba también en los rangos de servicios civiles, de oficiales y de bomberos. Esta ciudad tenía prácticas discriminatorias, y gracias a Dios que mejoramos. Hemos eliminado estas de la ciudad. Por tanto, uno de mis colegas en la oposición de Proposición 54, y espero que los votantes del Estado entiendan la importancia y el significado que podemos competir con justicia y con oportunidad y mantener el equilibrio que necesitamos en nuestras comunidades en el Estado de California. Señora Perry.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'm also rising in support because of the
me pongo de pie para
enormous amount of
apoyar
effort and
por la gran
work
cantidad
and
de
attention I have given
esfuerzo
to the homeless
y
community,
la atención que yo he
one that is
prestado a
heavily
la
reliant on
comunidad indigente, una que
public funding and public support, and much
está
of
muy
the programming
dependiente
that
en
we are
apoyo
doing in
público,
the Skid
y
Row
este
community
apoyo
is
que
based
estamos
on
llevando
growing
a cabo esta
gender issues
comunidad,
of an increase
de
in
que hay
women and
muchas
children,
étnicas,
and
mujeres,
on race and
niños,
ethnicity, to
raza,
be able to make the
diferentes
arguments
razas,
to
y
get more
podemos
funding to
hacer
deal with
argumento.
respiratory
Esta
illnesses
información
and
nos
infectious
ayuda a
diseases.
poder
So this is
presentar
critical
argumentos para tratar
to
con enfermedades respiratorias y
restoring
tipo de
communities that have been
esto
devastated, and
nos
so
ha
I
ayudado para
think it's
mejorar a comunidades
such
que
a
han
strong
estado
message that we're
sufriendo. Creo que
sending
es
here
un
today,
mensaje bastante
that we
fuerte el que
oppose this
enviamos, que estamos en
awful
contra
initiative.
de esta
Thank you.
iniciativa horrible.
Ms. Gruhl.
Gracias, señora Groh.
Thank you, Mr.
Muchas
President.
gracias, señor
I too want to rise in
Presidente. Quiero poner de
opposition
pie
to
para
this
oponerme
ballot
a esta
initiative and was
iniciativa en
pleased to
esa
stand
ballota.
with
Me
my
dio mucho
colleagues
gusto ponerme de
and to
pie con
many
mis
leaders the
colegas y
other
con muchos
day
otros
in
líderes el otro día para
opposition to this
oponernos a esta
proposition. This
proposición.
ballot initiative
Esta iniciativa, esta
is something that
ballota
is
es
trying to
algo que está
fool
tratando
our
de engañar
voters.
a nuestros
And as many
votantes.
of you
Y
know,
como ustedes,
we
muchos de
had
ustedes
and spoke
saben,
the other day when
hablamos el
Julian
otro día
Bond here
cuando
was
Julian
here
Bond
from the
estuvo aquí del
NAACP, talking
NAACP.
about
Él
how
estaba
this is going
hablando
to
acerca de
impact.
cómo,
But I
qué
want
impacto
to
tendrá
highlight, I
esto,
think,
pero
as
quiero
my
mencionar
colleague did
algo,
as
como
well,
dijo mi
Mr.
colega
Zine, which
previamente, el
is
señor
about the
Sade,
healthcare side of
acerca
this
del
and the
lado de los
importance of
cuidados
how
sobre la
many
importancia de la
doctors
cantidad de
and
doctores
institutions
e
that represent the
instituciones que
medical field have
representan
come out in
el
opposition
campo
to this. we need to
se han
ensure
puesto
that
en
we
contra de esto.
have
Tenemos que
shared
asegurar que
data
tenemos
about
información para
information
compartir sobre
relative to
información
whether it
tocante
be women
a
or
ya sea
minorities
mujeres o
and their healthcare
minoridades y
problems.
sus problemas para el
And
cuidado de la
as
salud.
indicated in
Y
some of
como
the
se ha indicado
discussions
en
this
ciertos
morning,
diálogos
for
esta mañana,
example,
por ejemplo,
we would not be able
no
to ascertain
podríamos
from a death certificate or
asegurar
a
de un
birth
certificado de
certificate of some particular disease
muerte
that had
de
been
una
for a
enfermedad en
particular, whether it be
particular
again
que si hubiera sido
a woman or a
ya
particular
sea para
minority.
mujer o para
So
otra minoridad. Por
I
lo
want to
tanto,
stand today
quiero
and
ponerme
join with my
de pie
colleagues
y
in
acompañar a
opposition
mis
to
colegas
this
para
and make
oponerme a
sure that
esto
we
y
send a clear
asegurar
message
que
that
enviemos
this
un
does
mensaje
not
claro
help the
que
state of
esto no
California.
ayuda al estado de
If this
California.
passed,
Si esto es
California
aprobado,
would be
California
behind the times. California would be
retrocederá.
seen from the medical field and
California
others as
se
really,
verá
I
de
believe,
parte del
a joke. So I think
campo
it
de
is
medicina
important for
como
us
un
to
chiste.
stand
Creo que
today
es muy importante
strong and
ponernos de pie
united and to
fuertes,
ask
unidos
people out
y
there
pedir a
to oppose
personas
this
que
ballot
se
initiative
pongan en de
so
esta
that we
iniciativa en la
can
pelota para
be
así
a state that we
poder
can be proud
ser un
of and one
estado
that has
en el
not
cual
gone
todos
back
estamos orgullosos
to
de un
years in
estado
which
que ha
we can't
retrocedido
discuss
años
some
y
of the
años
most important issues
donde
facing
no
Los
podríamos
Angeles and the state of California.
dialogar sobre
So
asuntos
thank you
tan
very much
importantes a Los
and
Ángeles, el
stand
estado
with
de
my
California.
colleagues
Muchas
in
gracias. Me
opposition.
pongo de pie para oponerme
Mr.
a
Labange.
esta iniciativa.
Thank you,
Señor
Mr.
Labange, gracias, señor
President.
presidente.
As others have said,
Como
this is
otros han
very
dicho, esto
important
es
that we
algo
do
muy
oppose
importante ponernos en contra
this initiative, but
de
I
esta
think
iniciativa, pero
today's
creo yo
council
que
ceremony,
la ceremonia del día
where
de
many
hoy,
people, and
donde
as you
muchas
mentioned,
personas, como
Mr.
usted
Zion,
mencionó, señor Zain,
the woman who grew up
la
in
mujer
this
que
city
creció
went
en
to
esta ciudad
Fremont
fue
Elementary,
a la escuela
Central
primaria
High School,
Fremont,
Junior High.
a la
Belmont High
secundaria
School
Central,
was the
a
first.
la
She corrected me. I
preparatoria
said Sergeant
Belmont.
Gunnery.
Dije
She was a
sargenta,
lieutenant.
era
And she's a Korean
teniente
American
coreana-americana,
was here, but
la que estuvo
today
aquí el
on
día
this
de
issue,
hoy en
this
este
morning's
asunto, la
ceremonial
ceremonia
part
de
of
esta
the
mañana.
council. And then our own
Es
commander for the police
nuestro
department is
propio
now going to be a
comandante,
chief.
la
She's
gente
going to
policial va
San
a ser
Diego.
jefa,
And all these
jefa, irá a
issues are
San Diego.
very
Todos estos asuntos
important.
son muy, muy
And it's
importantes.
an extremely
Y
important
es
issue
un
that
asunto sumamente
hopefully
importante que
will be
esperamos
defeated.
pueda
Because the
ser
great thing about California is there's people from all over the world who are here.
que no
And the
pase,
greatest
que
thing about Los Angeles is that we have that. And I was so pleased
pase. Me
yesterday
dio mucho
to
gusto
be in my
ayer
district at Park La
haber estado en mi
Brea,
distrito
where
en
we
Park La
dedicated
Brea,
a new
donde
activity center.
dedicamos un nuevo centro
And someone from
para
the
actividades y
management
alguien
spoke
de
of
la
how that
administración habló
area,
acerca de cómo
which has
esta
almost
área que
10,000
tiene casi
residents in the
10,000 residentes
4,200
en
units
las
near
unidades de 4.200
Farmers Market,
unidades cerca del
has the
mercado
most
de
diverse
legumbres, tiene la
population of
población
any
más
place
diversa de cualquier
in the
otro
world,
lugar en el
they
mundo.
thought, because of all the
Pensaron
people
por
who were
todas
there.
las
Isn't
personas
that
que estuvieron
important?
presentes, que
And isn't that
no
great?
es
And it's
esto
important to
importante,
recognize
es muy lindo
people who were there.
reconocer
So I
y
stand
muy importante reconocer a las
and I
personas que
thank you
estuvieron
to
presentes. Me
defeat
pongo de pie y gracias a
this issue.
ustedes por luchar
Mr.
contra
Cárdenas.
este asunto, señor Cárdenas.
I want to make sure that I
Quiero
make a couple
asegurar
of points. One of the main points I'd like to make is that this Proposition 54, this badly written proposition, actually
54
has
mal escrita tiene en
an
realidad
exemption for
una
medical research.
exclusión para
That's not
investigación
true.
médica. Esto no
That
es
would not
verdad.
be an
Esto
accurate
no va a
statement,
ser una
although that
declaración
statement is
exacta, aunque
being
esta
made
declaración
by those who
está incluida por los que
this
han
proposition and support
propuesto
it.
esta proposición y la apoyan.
This so-called medical
La
exemption
llamada
only allows
exclusión
doctors
de
to keep
medicina solamente
racial or
permite que
ethnic
los
data
doctores
on their
mantengan información
patients,
racial
but it does not allow
sobre sus
us
pacientes, pero
to
no nos
use
permite
population data
utilizar
to prevent
información de
diseases.
población para prevenir
If you know
enfermedades.
anything
Si saben
about
ustedes algo
research,
acerca de
by just keeping
investigación,
an individual file,
mantener
that
un
will do
expediente
no
individual
good whatsoever.
no va a
That's
servir
what you
para
call
nada. Eso es lo que se
anecdotal.
llama
What you need to do research is you need the conglomerate of information, you need a lot of information, and many times researchers bring this information from very
traen esta
interesting
información
places
de
that
lugares
most
muy
of us don't even
interesantes que
think
muchos
of.
de nosotros
For
ni siquiera
example,
pensamos. Por
in
ejemplo, en
California, we will
California
move to the dark ages on birth
retrocederemos
certificates and death certificates
los
because we will be
tiempos
eliminating
oscuros,
important
certificados porque
information
eliminaremos
that
información
law
importante
enforcement,
que los
that the government uses,
agencias para
that
cumplir la ley, que el
the
gobierno
medical
utiliza,
researchers
que
use to
los
find
investigadores
out
también utilizan
trends
para
when it comes to deaths and births, the
darnos
beginning and the
cuenta
end of
de
life. Those those are the kinds of things that this very ill-written proposition that on the surface seems kind of simple and logical is actually very, very bad for all of us. These are the kinds of things that affect us every single day that we don't think about, but this proposition would have a devastating effect on the progress on many issues here in California. Also, this proposition talks about a colorblind society, and this is my final point. When I look at statistics, some people might say, well, only 4% of the Latino population is actually getting a BA degree. Yes, we must improve for all societies to be equally educated. But at the same time, that information, I take it to children and I use it in a positive way. Because when I'm talking to children of color, I say, look, People like you
Personas
are
como
getting
ustedes
degrees.
están recibiendo
Don't think that we
licenciaturas. No
can't.
piensa que no
Don't think that
podemos
we
recibir
don't.
títulos. No piensa
This
que no lo
information
hacemos. Esta
can be used in a
información puede ser
positive
utilizada de
way.
manera
Although
positiva.
some people think
Aunque
that
existe
whenever
persona
you
piensa que
gather this
cuando uno
information,
junta esta
you're only
información
using it
solamente la
to try to
utiliza
point
para
out that
tratar de
people are
indicar que las
victims,
personas
to try
son
to point
víctimas,
out
para
the
tratar de
wrong
indicar
things about
las cosas
society,
equivocadas
what
de
good things are
sociedad.
going
Bueno,
on in
muchas
society,
buenas
and the
cosas.
only
No creo
thing
que
that we
eso sea
can
lo único que
measure
podemos medir.
progress is by just
Progreso
having
es
the truth,
teniendo
and
la
so
verdad y
be
por lo
it. I
tanto
never
que sea
consider
así. Nunca
myself a
me
victim.
consideré yo
I
como
gave
una
you an
víctima. Les di un
example of when
ejemplo
I was a
de
child
cuando
and
yo
how
era
my
niño y
parents
cómo
were
mis
discriminated
padres
against before my
estaban siendo
eyes. I
discriminados
don't
frente a mí.
consider
Yo
them
no
to be
los considero que ellos
victims.
son
They're very
víctimas.
strong
Ellos son personas
individuals
muy
who never
fuertes,
once
individuos que
complained
nunca se
about
quejaron
anything.
acerca de nada.
This
Esta
proposition is looking at the
proposición
negative.
está
But when you
mirando lo
really look
negativo,
at
pero
what is
cuando
positive
mira
about
uno
our
en
country
realidad de
and
lo
this
que es
great
positivo de
society,
nuestro
we
país, de esta gran sociedad,
recognize diversity,
reconocemos
we
diversidad,
welcome it, and
le
we
damos la
welcome
bienvenida y
progress.
damos
This
la bienvenida, pero que
proposition is
esta
going in the opposite
proposición va
direction.
en la manera opuesta.
Other members wishing to be heard on this item?
¿Alguien más desea presentación sobre este asunto?
Seeing none, Madam Clerk,
Nadie.
please open the
Secretario,
roll.
ese palabra ese voto.
Please close the
Cierre ese
roll and
voto
tabulate
y
the vote.
tabule ese conteo. 12 sí.
That is
Ha
approved.
sido aprobada.
Next item, please.
Procedamos. por favor.
Mr. President,
Señor
there is a
presidente,
special
hay
one on the
una
desk
especial uno pendiente,
presented by Councilmember
presentado
Reyes,
por el
seconded
concejal
by
Reyes,
Councilmembers Parks
apoyado por el
and Perry,
concejal
and the
Parks
city
y Perry.
attorney will
La
speak to the
fiscalía hablará
findings.
Mr. City Attorney.
sobre la necesidad de actuar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this is a motion being introduced by Councilman Reyes. In order for the council to consider this motion under the provisions of Rule 23 and the provisions of the Government Code, it's necessary that the council make findings that in order to consider this, that there is a need to take immediate action on the matter and that the need for action came to the attention of the City Council subsequent to the posting of today's agenda. The findings that are presented in the motion are that on Saturday, August 9, 2003, at approximately 4:20 p.m., 28-year-old Delmas del Carmen Rodriguez and 24-year-old Manuel de Jesus Reyes Carrillo, residents of the city of Los Angeles, were fatally shot inside the Flor Blanca restaurant located at 806 South Alvarado Street in Los Angeles. According to sources, approximately 4 Hispanic males in their 20s walked into the restaurant, grabbed Ms. Rodriguez, a waitress at the restaurant, dragged her toward the front door and shot her. Then they proceeded to spray the restaurant with bullets. One of these bullets struck Mr. Carrillo, who was a patron at the restaurant. The motive for the shootings is unknown, and the suspects remain outstanding. The persons responsible for this crime represent an ongoing threat to the safety of the people of Los Angeles, and therefore it is appropriate for the City of Los Angeles to offer a reward for information leading to the identification and apprehension of the person or persons responsible for the death of Delmas del Carmen Rodriguez and Manuel de Jesus Reyes Carrillo. So those are the findings that the council has to vote on, Mr. President.
Members wishing to be heard on the findings? On the findings? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Special one is now before us. Members wishing to be heard on the motion itself. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. Colleagues, I arrived late today because we had a press conference. At the press conference, we had the family of the victims. And this is an innocent family. These are innocent people who were working hard on that day to serve their community food. And we had some unruly characters in there, and this person who was shot asked them to leave. And these 4 individuals came back. One walked in, literally pulled her to the front and shot her at point blank, and proceeded to shoot randomly into a restaurant that was full of people. And we are very fortunate that more tragedies did not occur. Colleagues, at the press conference, the sister was crying. She was pleading. But she made a strong statement saying, "Where were the police? When I called the 911, they didn't understand me. They had me on hold. It took a half hour to get there." And I'm not blaming the police at all. All I'm saying is that police got there as soon as they could. They came to a situation that was very ugly, very painful, and the officer's been working hard for the past few days, past week, 24 hours tracking this down. We did not do this immediately because the detective said we shouldn't do it right away. I was ready to do this motion as soon as the incident occurred. We waited, and now they asked us to make this happen as soon as possible. We need to show the communities that this council cares, that the officers are doing everything they can, that they are overwhelmed. Over 25,000 people in that one square mile in that area. And to get officers there on time was hard because of all the other demands that pressed upon them. We need the eyes and ears of the community. We need his reward. We need to show some justice has to prevail. And I need your support in this. Let's show these folks that by killing a person doesn't make them a man, doesn't make them anything but a criminal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Other members wishing to be heard on this item? Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved and will also go forthwith. Next item, please.
Mr. President, item number 54 was already adopted. However, it should be noted that there should be a technical correction, that the date should be changed to August 8th through August 10th, rather than the 15th through 17th.
Okay. Duly noted. Next item, please.
I believe Mr. Parks wanted to make a motion to reconsider item number 18.
Mr.
Para
Parks.
reconsiderar asunto 18 por el señor Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to make sure that there's clarity. There was two reports, and although the minutes reflect only the ITGS report, that there was a subsequent report by the Budget Committee that basically supported in concept the issue of $300,000 additional payment for the attorneys, but sent back another portion of that report to the Cable Steering Committee for review. And being that it was not shown on the agenda as a two-report item, I just wanted to make sure that we reconsidered it, made sure that for the public to know that what occurred at Budget and Finance Committee is actually what we're voting on today.
Okay, let's motion for reconsideration. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Item 18 is now back before us, and we appreciate that clarification, Mr. Parks. Any further discussion on this item? Ms. Miskowski?
Let me just reaffirm that and be specific that the action should be the adoption of the Budget and Finance Committee report as a substitute for the information technology, which only authorizes a payment of up to $300,000 to the firm. The remainder of the application and/or renewal for additional money will remain in Budget and Finance until further clarification is received after we return. So the payment authorization under Budget and Finance is for only the $300,000 amount.
With that clarification, colleagues, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll, please close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That one, once again, approves item 18. Next item, please.
Mr. President, this is the time for comments from the public on items not on council's agenda.
Okay, colleagues, will take public comment for today's meeting, and at the conclusion of public comment, we'll proceed to the special meeting agenda that has been posted for 12:15. The council calls for it at this time David, I believe it's Libby Hart, and he will be followed by Jim McQuiston, Winifred Smith. Sir, give me just a second here. Let me introduce the other speakers who will follow. Jim McQuiston, Winifred Smith, Virgil Hartley, and Dan Wiseman. Go ahead.
I was treated very rudely and disrespectfully at ITA when I called yesterday on the phone. I have Comcast cable service. I do an Afro-American puppet show teaching kids to say no to drugs and stay in school. I've been doing it for 23 years. And I called ITA because I was denied to use the editing bay at Adelphia Cable and Eagle Rock. And they said, well, we got away with not airing your shows in Chino and letting them sit for 3 years, and we don't have to serve you if we don't want to. I spoke to ITA about this, and they didn't, finally when they returned my phone calls, Dennis Briley called me up. We don't have to have respect for your people. I've seen you come to the different ITA meetings, and as an Afro-American, I was offended by that. And I'm doing something positive for the community, teaching kids to stay in school and say no to drugs with Bible stories, and have different pastors from different religions participate on the program. And I have my hands full, and I just didn't feel that was right for ITA to treat me in such a brutal, rude way. Then Dennis Fraley told everybody in the office not to return my phone calls and to hang up my face when I called, and I felt that was brutally rude. route. And I've been in Los Angeles ever since I got out of the Navy in '76. And I came to California to be an actor.
Thank you,
My
sir.
dad just recently died that was a civil rights leader in Chicago, Illinois.
Thank you, sir.
And my other concern is they need to do something to present the bus strike that's going to happen in September. That's going to make a lot of people stranded and can't get to work, and it's going to hurt a lot of Hispanics and blacks that are poor income people. And my second concern is they need to teach a lot of the whites in the community to have tolerance toward Afro-Americans and Hispanics and Asians, because a lot of churches won't let blacks and Latinos join, especially in Erica Setti's area. I was thrown out at the church at 1776 Vermont Boulevard saying we do not want to hire an Afro-American organist. They did the same thing to an Hispanic woman who went to school with me named Patricia Perez. Racism needs to be stopped in our society. It is getting out of hand.
We appreciate you being here, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. McQuiston? And if I can ask Winifred Smith, Virgil Hartley, and Dan Wiseman to form a line behind the podium, I'd appreciate it.
Jim McQuiston, East Hollywood Community Association. We tall people can see the sign pretty clearly. I hope you've all seen the sign on Tom Bradley Boulevard, right outside the City Hall. Tom Bradley Boulevard from Hope Street to San Pedro. Maybe a solution. The signs haven't changed actually on the street, but we do have a Tom Bradley Boulevard now.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
I'm Dan Wiseman. I'm a stakeholder in the Van Nuys Neighborhood Council, and I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier. I had wanted to speak at the time that the auto BID issue had come forward. I'm speaking as an individual, although I hope I'm speaking for a number of my neighbors. We in the neighborhood are very anxious to see the reconstruction of the new buildings that we are being promised and that really was started by Councilperson Misikowski along our very important street. We are disappointed to hear that the expectations of the auto bid people have not been met, and that is my understanding they're going to dissolve the auto bid. We're going to lose a board member on our neighborhood council, and the activities which we were hoping were going to make our area a nicer area are not going to occur. As a neighborhood council, we're going to be taking that up as an issue and probably bringing it back to your consideration again.
Thank you, sir.
With your indulgence, I'd like to comment a little bit on the Dunn proposal of Ms. Hahn regarding whether Dunn is putting its emphasis on certifying or supporting the certification of neighborhood councils or supporting those councils, 75 of them now, who are certified. I'm sorry to report to you that from many councils that I've been talking to, neither of these things are really adequately supported. We just had the first denial of an application, which you, of course, took action on last week. And part of the reason that that denial was there was inadequate support to help those people know what had to be done so when they brought their application forward, it would be successful. That is not the first such example. Our Van Nuys Neighborhood Council example of an election that was delayed in its resolution for over 6 months, in my humble opinion, and you have documentation of it on your desks that has been sent forward to you in multi-page grievances, was because Dunn did not take the kind of action which would help us solve our problems. Therefore, we are in the process of putting together a problem resolution system which has been presented to the Education and Neighborhoods Committee, and with some approbation there, which we were pleased, to try to help neighborhood councils.
Can I ask you to conclude, please, sir?
Yes, I'm about to finish, thank you. To try to help neighborhood councils solve their own problems at their own levels. Dunn, Bonk, essentially the entire city is strapped for money, strapped for resources, strapped for people who are capable of doing the job that all of us are hoping they do. So we, as neighborhood councils, I think, can help them, frankly, by solving our own problems, and then everybody won't try to kill the messenger.
Thank you very much.
You can help us do that. I'm working with several offices to do it.
Let's hear from Winifred Smith and Virgil Hartley.
Thank you. I'm representing other people in my neighborhood who work as I do, but whose schedules did not allow them to be here to speak for themselves. What we need on our street is your starting permits with revenue for your coffers for overnight parking. We are deluged with people from all over the community who park on our street overnight. One person with 4 cars and many use it as garages. We have to have your help in establishing permits for overnight parking. It's a blind street on both ends, and people who are residents can no longer park on the street. It means 3-block walkings, parking in front of red zones in order to get home from work. The people who are not here to speak are at work, but by the time they get home, there will be no place to park. So I hope you will take this under consideration as you have done in more affluent neighborhoods. There are overnight parking permits in the Beverly area.
Thank you.
So would you please take this under consideration and quickly? Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
The street, you need to know the street. It's blind on both ends, Chico, and the other end is Edge Hill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And our final speaker.
Good morning, council members. My name is Virgil Hartley, and I'm here with Mr. Smith to speak about our block. It's 3800 block of West 28th Street, near Adams and 10th Avenue. It's the West Adams historical area, and I'm a homeowner there. And we're having a problem with a big apartment complex on the one end of the street. And they're taking up all the parking, and so we as residents there have no place to park. It's a short block, and it's a really nice, well-kept street. And they not only take up the parking, but they also speed, and we have children on the street. And I just wish that the council would consider making it a parking permit, only parking on that street. I'd sure appreciate it. I think all the residents on the street would really appreciate your help in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this concludes public comment for today's meeting. Now let's take a temporary recess from the regular meeting agenda. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the special meeting.
Cardenas, Garcetti, Gruel, Han, Labange, Ludlow, Miskowski, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Smith, Villaraigosa, Weisstein, Padilla, 13 members present, and a quorum is present.
Special meeting is now in session. First item, please.
Items 1 through 4, items for which public hearings have been held. Item number 1, there is a new ordinance that has been submitted by the city attorney.
Okay, colleagues, items 1 through 4 now before us. Public hearings have been held. Do we have any requests for specials? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please open the roll on items 1 through 4. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. Next item, please.
Items for which public hearings have not been held, items 5 through 9, 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay, without objection, items 5 through 9 are before us. Mr. Smith.
Number 6, please.
Number 6, called special by Mr. Smith. Any other specials, items 5 through 9?
And after council adopts item number 9, that also will be considered in closed session.
Okay, and we do have item 10 as a closed session item as well. Any other specials, items 5 through 9? Seeing none, let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Those are approved. Mr. Smith on item number 6.
Yes, is there anyone here from DDP on this issue? Come. I have a couple questions. I was looking at the cost of this project where we're leasing electric vehicles, and I just began to look at the numbers, and I'm saying, why are we leasing vehicles that cost about $22,000 to lease when we could buy them for just a few bucks more? So I didn't understand why we're entering a lease that essentially pays for the entire cost almost as purchasing the vehicles rather than leasing them.
Actually, the
question of purchasing
La
versus
pregunta de
leasing.
comprar en vez de
The
rentar.
cars really
Los
aren't
carros-
available for
los carros
purchase
no
at this
están disponibles
time.
para que
The
sean-
lease is
para
the only
comprarse
option
ahorita, una
open
opción es
to us, and
arrendamiento.
we're trying to get these
Es
because
una
these are
opción
zero-emission vehicles, so they will help
conseguimos esto
DWP
porque
with our
son-
EPAC requirements.
emiten cero.
We have applications, in fact, we can't get enough of these
Emisión.
cars. We have more applications than there are
Tenemos más
vehicles
solicitudes,
available.
muchas más
So
solicitudes
we're
y más
trying to get
suficientes
as
carros.
many as we
Estamos
can as
tratando de
quickly as possible.
arrendar
and there's no
lo
other
más que
vehicles
podamos
on the
conseguir.
market that
No
we
hay
can
ningún
buy. These
otro
are only
carro en el
lease-type
mercado que podemos
vehicles.
comprar.
No, with the
Solamente
changes
el
that came
tipo
in
de
with the
reglamento
zero-emission
con
vehicle
los
mandate, the
reglamentos que se
automakers are
presentaron,
not
los
building these vehicles very
hacen
enthusiastically
estos carros,
anymore.
están ya construyendo estos carros con
Actually,
mucho
this is a deal that they
entusiasmo.
came
Este
back
es
at us
un-
with because
lo que nos
we
informaron porque
gave up the
nosotros
right to some
renunciamos al
vehicles that
derecho
we had
a
earlier
ciertos
on
carros
to allow them to go to the public
que
when
estos
Toyota
fueron al
decided to go
público cuando
to
Toyota
sales directly
decidió
to the public with
venderlos
their electric
directamente
vehicle.
al público con su
Now
carro
they are
eléctrico.
coming back trying to
Ahora
make up for some of those
están
vehicles that
tratando
we had
de
released at that time.
darnos la cantidad
Good
de
answer,
carros
thank you.
que
Mr. Cardenas.
a los que renunciamos hace tiempo. Gracias, señor
Actually,
Cárdenas.
this is a perfect issue that we're stuck with, that DWP stuck with, that the city of Los Angeles is stuck with, is a mandate from Sacramento on an idea of zero-emission vehicles, where the idea actually exceeded the feasibility or the viability of actually building these vehicles. And the question is this, to the representative from DWP, who is making electric vehicles today that are available to us?
Carros eléctricos.
There are no auto manufacturers currently trying to develop any more fully electric vehicles. We have been working with some of the aftermarket people who have designed electric drivetrains and have worked with us extensively on our buses. And I might be a little premature in this, but we're hoping to soon be able to announce a program whereby we will have a manufacturer that will retrofit traditional gasoline-burning vehicles into zero-emission vehicles, or even the possibility, if we can get enough, of having new vehicles built without engines and drivetrains so that they can just be built brand new as electric vehicles. And right now, we're trying to do everything we can to get them to do that here in the city of LA.
So right now, in order for us to meet our mandate, we have to deal with Toyota.
That's the only provider available right now, and even these are limited. If we pass on it, they're going to Edison, we already know.
The reason why, thank you very much, the reason why I wanted to point that out is because there are times when we have to look at ourselves as a city, we have to look at some of our proprietary organizations and actually talk about or expose the fact that maybe we aren't being efficient, maybe we need to go back to the drawing board. But unfortunately, this is an example that my colleague Greg Smith pointed out, that this is a very expensive venture, but at the same time, this is one of those situations we are forced to have to deal with this in this manner and only in this manner, and it is expensive, it is unfortunate, but this is not an example of a department actually doing the wrong thing. This is an example of a department being forced to just only be able to do this one action. So thank you very much.
That's correct.
Mr.
Zine.
Don't go away yet. I've got a question regarding our electric vehicles. I had the opportunity to go to an event at the LA Zoo, and there was a city employee in the city battery-powered vehicle, electric vehicle, went to hook up to the electric station that they have at the LA Zoo, and the terminals weren't compatible. And we introduced a motion to try and get these standardized, and I understand that there's different components on these electric vehicles for the charging system, and you go to the wrong location, you're not going to get any power. Has that been identified and rectified, and is that being considered in this current proposal?
That's not a part of what is on the motion today, but we are aware of the charger issues. We've tried to address it by being more detailed in our charger listing and letting people know just what types of electric vehicle chargers will be present at any location. LA Zoo is actually a pretty interesting situation, only because of the construction and some things being moved around during the construction up there right now.
The concern I have is as you travel around, I'm always conscious of the environment and looking at the charging stations and where they're located. It'll say electric vehicle charging station, that's all it says. And it's, you go up to that charging station, and I was not aware that they didn't have a universal plug like we do with the AC lines, the 220 lines, that I don't know how many different styles they have, but will this have another component, so we'll have to have additional charging stations that need to adapt to this?
Well, actually, there are 3 styles of chargers currently available. The reality is 95% of the electric vehicles can use one of the 3 styles, so we've been trying to make that our standard, but at the same time, we want to still make conducting charging available for those people that have that type of vehicle. But wherever possible, we've been trying to change out the large paddle inductive chargers so that they can use the small paddle, because that does have an adapter that comes with the car that would allow even the large paddle cars to use a small paddle charger. And we've been attempting to do that. There's a lot still scheduled to be done, and in fact, we're not going to be able to finish unless we come back to you guys with even another motion to buy some more of these chargers as soon as we can find a place where they're available.
So you are aware of it and you're moving forward on it. Now, what about on private property? They have some charging stations. For example, Costco has charging stations. Is there any requirement for them to have a variety, or can they just put up what they want?
Actually, those were mostly installed with a grant that we got from the Air Quality Management District, and with that, they wanted no bias, so we had to have both styles of chargers made available to the public at any of those locations, and those chargers have to remain accessible to the public, because the money to buy the charger itself was paid out of a grant from the Air Quality Management District.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cardenas.
Actually, Mr. Zion, on that issue, based on the motion that you brought forth, we are going to be hearing it in the Commerce Committee on that specific issue and get a full report on that from DWP. Thank you.
Other members wishing to be heard? Before we go away, I'm sensing from all the council members, they're very impressed at your breadth of knowledge on this issue. What university did you go to? Actually went to MIT. All right, that's what I thought. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Madam Clerk, any other items before closed session?
Well, not on the special meeting agenda.
Okay. Then if the balance of what remains before us, colleagues, is closed session, then in conformance with California law, let's ask the guards to please clear the chambers, and let's go into closed session.
Que cierren las puertas porque tenemos un trabajo puertas cerradas.
Welcome back into open session. Madam Clerk, I believe we're voting on item number 10 of the special meeting agenda first. For the record and public concern, Mr. Parks has been recused on this item, both in this open session vote and the closed session consideration. On item number 10 of the special meeting, Madam Clerk, please open the roll. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. And going forthwith, we can now let Mr. Parks back in. And as soon as we're ready, let's proceed to item number 9. Madam Clerk, the item, please.
Item number 9 is settlement in a condemnation case, and that's in the amount of $925,000.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. As with the regular meeting agenda, colleagues, all matters approved as part of the special meeting are being sent forthwith. Any unfinished business on the special meeting agenda?
No, that concludes the special meeting, Mr. President.
Let us now conclude the special meeting and return to the regular meeting agenda. Do we have any business remaining on the desk?
Yes, council has motions for posting and referral,
Motion shall be posted and referred.
and there are excuses on the desk. Councilmember Weiss requests to be excused November 7th, 12th, and 14th for personal business. That meets council policy.
Excuse granted.
Councilmember Miskowski requests to be excused Wednesday, September 17th for city business. That also meets council policy.
Ms. Mizikowski is excused.
Councilmember Cardenas requests to be excused Friday, September 19th to leave at 11:30 for city business. That meets council policy.
Mr. Cardenas is excused.
And that clears the desk.
Okay. Colleagues, are there any announcements today? Let me begin by announcing to the members of the public who are here and watching from home, this is the last council meeting until September 2nd. The last 2 weeks of August is our annual recess of the City Council. We will not be having any council or committee meetings in the balance of that time. So if you tune into Channel 35 on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 for the next 2 weeks and don't see us, that's the reason why. Mr. Labange.
Yeah, thank you. On September 4th, you know what that is there, Mr. President? It's our great city's birthday, the 222nd. And on Labor Day, and I'm looking for our colleague, Antonio. Is Antonio still in the chamber? Great. We'd like to ask him to come forward. Anybody else have announcements?
I have
Okay,
one, Mr. Labange.
I want to pass because I would like Antonio to join with me in this.
Mr. Reyes for an announcement.
Thanks.
Thank you, Council President. I'm proud to say that today is a culmination of a long effort with the State of California State of California Recreation Department, along with the City of Los Angeles Recreation Parks. It's come together and to formulate a 40-acre park, 20 acres for soccer fields and baseball fields, along with 20 acres of passive space that will connect to Los Angeles River and has a regional impact in providing much-needed park space for a very park-poor area around the downtown area in the city of Los Angeles. A lot of hard work came through from the community folks. The Anahuac Soccer Club and their parents were very instrumental. A lot of the community advocates stepped up. This has been a long-term battle. Back in 1993, then Councilman Mike Hernandez started community meetings to start creating this vision. Fast forward 10 years, we got to this point. And I just want to thank my colleagues, Councilmember Garcetti and Councilmember Villaraigosa for sharing that with us. We also had there Mayor Hahn, Jackie Goldberg, Assembly member, played a key role, as well as Senator Cedillo. So again, just want to take this time to thank everybody on this momentous occasion, and hopefully by this time next year we'll have construction of the parks finished.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. And we saw last Friday your soccer skills here in council chambers, so we know you'll be taking advantage of that too. Mr. Parks.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one announcement that I'd like to make in behalf of the Business Tax Advisory Committee. Just met yesterday, and they have a very important task of looking at business tax, but they sunset as of June 30th of next year, and they need to make sure that each council office has an appointee on that committee. And if recently elected council members, if you wish to keep the existing person on, they need to be notified. So as quickly as you can notify the board president of the BTAC, they would appreciate involvement in this last 8 or 9 months of activity. I just have a couple of community announcements also, is that, and these are all for Saturday, tomorrow, the 85th Street Block Club at 159 East 85th Street at 11:30 will have their annual block club meeting. The 6th Avenue Block Club at 1 o'clock at 2800 West Slauson, and also the Lamert Park Merchants Association at 2 o'clock will have a open house. And then the St. Andrews Park Jazz Festival at 8701 St. Andrews Place will be at 2 o'clock. Also, the Ridgely Drive Homeowners Annual Block Club will be tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I'd invite again everyone to come out to the opening of the African American Marketplace at Exposition Park in front of the Sports Arena. Starting the first weekend is tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Other announcements? Mr. Labange?
Yes, thank you very much. And our great colleague from the 14th District will be leading the Los Pobladores on Labor Day, which is Monday, the first day of September. And he'll be leading from the Mission San Gabriel all 9 miles to the Pueblo on that day. And then together, jointly, the great councilman of the 14th and myself will be inviting all of you and your staffs and our neighborhood councils and various historic organizations to a Thursday night, September 4th, which is our actual city birthday, to Alvera Street. And we'll be asking each and every one of you through your staffs to get a cake to donate to the event. And because it's the 222nd birthday, we're going to ask you to go to your favorite restaurant in your district and get food for 222 people so we can have a great party for the thousands that will make their way to the Pueblo. But at this time, I'd like to call on Antonio Villaraigosa, the great councilman who will lead the Los Pobladores on this walk to add to the festivities that will take place there.
Antonio Poblador Villaraigosa.
That's why we love Tom Labange, I'll tell you. Frankly, let me just be real clear. Tom had the idea. We know how much he loves this city. And he said, you know what, we don't really celebrate the birthday of the city in the way that we should. And so we're going to have a great party. And we know how to throw parties, right, Tom? And we're going to do it together. Hopefully every one of you participate. And we're going to have a little fun at the birthplace of the City of the Angels.
Other announcements? Mr. Cardenas.
Yes, I wanted to announce that in the Browdy Center in Van Nuys, that at about 11:30 in the middle of the day, on Saturday, August 23rd, we're going to have a community event where all of the organizations, departments who are in the Browdy Constituent Service Center in the San Fernando Valley are going to have an event there. So everyone is welcome. There's going to be free food. There's going to be all kinds of information and opportunities for people to get to know the departments and how we're serving the community of the San Fernando Valley. And before that, at about 10 a.m., a little minor thing's going to happen. We're going to have our community swearing in for myself on that day at 10 a.m., and you're all welcome to come, and we're going to have refreshments and other goodies, and it's going to be a very short opportunity to have the community participate in the swearing in of the councilman of the 6th District, myself, and after that we're going to open it up for food and festivities for the community to get to know the more important people in that center, which is the people who serve us in all the departments. So you're all invited, and I thank you for considering coming along.
Thank you, Mr. Cardenas. Other final announcements? If not, colleagues, let me announce on behalf of the Pacoima Neighborhood Council Youth Committee. The Youth Committee will be holding a car wash fundraiser tomorrow, August 16th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Pacoima Youth and Family Center on the corner of Van Nuys and Glen Oaks. The Youth Committee of the Pacoima Neighborhood Council is very active in raising money so that they, in addition to the Neighborhood Council as a whole, can fund projects in the community and participate in local government. So anybody in the vicinity in need of a car wash, please come by. It's for a great cause. And before we adjourn, do we have adjourning motions today? Any adjourning tributes? If there are none, then please all stand for adjourning motions. Mr. Labange.
Yes, Robert Gaywee, who is the father of our own Jerry Gaywee, who's the Assistant Manager of Water Services. Robert Gaywee, who passed away on August 11th. He was born in Los Alamos, California. He was married for over 60 years to Martha Jane, his lovely wife. They have 4 children. Jerry Gaywee, our own DWP Water Superintendent, Ann Gaywee, Martha Stevenson, and Roberta Aldu-Cadera. He was a civil engineer for over 30 years, and he was involved in the design and construction of the Bonaventure Hotel, as well as the Forum in Inglewood. He will be remembered as a loving father and a very dedicated citizen. I ask that we adjourn in memory of Robert Gaywee.
All members. Mr. Parks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd ask that we adjourn in memory It's a belated adjournment motion for Lena Smith, who was born in Coshada, Louisiana, September 23rd, 1896. She died at the age of 106 on June 25th, 2003. She moved to Los Angeles in the year 2000 and joined the Paradise Baptist Church under the direction of Dr. Aaron Iverson, who's the pastor. Ms. Smith was an expert seamstress, made most of the clothes for her family members. She lived through many adversities, including war, segregation. She survived the Great Depression by gardening and farming. She also was a part of the rallying community behind Dr. Martin Luther King during the Civil Rights Movement, and she basically was fortunate enough to live to see 6 generations of her family who cherished her memory at a service at Paradise Baptist Church, July 2nd, 2003.
Thank you, Mr. Parks. Other adjourning motions? Seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you all very much. This meeting is adjourned, and the council will stand in recess until Tuesday, September 2nd.